Hey everyone, welcome to whatever episode film club this is, cannot remember, but episode 20 probably, where I'm going to be reacting to the community who submitted from Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, threads, on Instagram, through my stories, on my YouTube community posts, who they think are the most overrated directors. So it's not necessarily my most overrated directors, but you guys in the community who love movies, seen tons of them probably, most likely, if you have an opinion on this, and said these directors are not as good as the hype. So I'm going to be showcasing them. I'm going to be debating with you guys if these people are actually overrated based on their status, and showcasing the films that they actually have done. And it's going to be based on like variety of filmmaking. It's going to be based on how many films the person have, and if these people are even considered really overhyped. Does the wider community, even especially the general audience, hype these directors up? So obviously you saw the thumbnail. You're gonna know who's one of the directors someone said, but that's gonna be the main event. Let's start off with the first director someone gave me, and this is coming from. Oops, this is not the one I wanted to start with. Sorry, guys. This thing has been giving me problems all day. Nope. Okay. Well, there we go. I don't know why it did that one. Here we go. So the first one up is Quentin Tarantino. This is coming from Tennis Reaper Cinema. He commented this on my YouTube post when I was asking for the most overrated directors. And Quentin Tarantino is a very, very interesting one to put on this list, right? Because there's no denying Tarantino's impact on the industry. And he has iconic films he's created, which many people love. A lot of people consider him one of the best directors that holds strong in his beliefs and his style, and not shilling to make like a blockbuster or try to do a superhero film, not to do like a broad sci-fi franchise and adapt something that he doesn't believe is dope, and he heavily criticizes other people's projects. So he does come under fire sometimes for his opinions on certain things, but also his use of certain things in films, right? Like I haven't seen much of his filmography, unfortunately. Um, but I've seen a good amount where I like a lot of his films. Actually, one of his films is one of my favorite films of all time, and that would be Django Unchained, which I actually love, right? But then he also have things like Reservoir Dogs, which I'm not a big fan of. He has Pulp Fiction, which is an absolute classic and one of those influential films that has a ton of movies that people who try to copy off him. Jackie Brown, Kill Bill movies are phenomenal as well. Death Proof is shaky, and Glorious Bastards is really good, but I think a bit overhyped. The Hateful Eight is one that's kind of overlooked, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was a film that not only did really well at the box office, but also did well in award season in terms of nominations. I'm not sure if it won anything, but I know it was for nominations. I can say where I think what Quentin Tarantino can be a bit overhyped is his style is kind of always, it's always a Tarantino movie, and he's always like that. He doesn't break away from that flow that much, and he doesn't delve into different kinds of genres, right? We don't really get to see a romance movie from him, a sci-fi film from him, a scary film from him. He doesn't really get into different things to see if he's one of those filmmakers that can flex his muscles. He has specific genres that he usually goes towards and adds his style to. So while I think Quentin Tarantino is one of the best to do it, I think he is a bit overhyped in terms of what he can do, because he also is struggling to get that 10th movie out, right? And he has this very specific writing that's not going to be for everyone. I don't think he has that broad appeal, and that's fine. Not every director needs to, but I also think his use of like the N word also bothers me in some of his films, especially overuse. I remember seeing that in Reservoir Dogs, and then kind of in some other films that I've seen where he does that a lot and he's writing a lot, and that definitely bothers me a bit. But overall, I think that this is a one that I can say yes. I think Quentin Tarantino is a little bit overhyped, but not drastically. He's still one of the best to do it. Books, Gurs, and Purrs. Welcome to the live stream, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Let me know in the live stream if you're on, what films that you think or not films, but directors you think is overrated. People, directors who you're like, you know what, I've seen a couple of their movies and I don't think that they're that good. Not as good as people say. So this one is interesting. This next one is someone that people. Oh, come on. I got okay. I now I understand how to do it. That people complain about a lot, and that's Michael Bay. So this one's conflicting for me because for me, Michael Bay has made some of my favorite movies, right? Like Bad Boys 2, Armageddon, Transformers, all the first three. I love Pain and Gain. And Ambulance is a silly movie I really like. 13 Hours I haven't seen, but I heard that movie's actually pretty good. But I can't really talk about it because I haven't really seen it. But these are the films that he's directed. Michael Bay, I can definitely see being overrated because I don't think he's made any film that people would say is one of the greatest films of all time wholeheartedly and will stand on their feet and kind of stand on that. But he has made a lot of fun films. He's a very fun director. If you're looking for something with a little bit more depth in his catalog, if you're looking for something with a little more oomph in there, I don't know if you can find that in here. And then he also makes a lot of silly movies as well, like Six Underground, which is absolutely awful. Transformers Last Night, Transformers Age of Extinction. He has touch his toes in. Even Ambulance, which I like, is a really silly movie. But he also has something serious like Pearl Harbor. So, like, and The Rock. So he has some films that are really, really great. But if someone is saying that he's maybe one of the best to ever do it, and I think people say he's the best blockbuster director, it's kind of hard because a lot of his films, while I do like a lot of them, feel a little soulless overall. So I can understand why Dante, who posted this one, said that he thinks Michael Bay is the most overrated director, one of the most overrated directors doing it right now. And there's a couple people who also put up Michael Bay as well. And this next one is someone that I actually like again and it's tough to talk about. But we're going to talk about M. Night Shyamalan. This is coming from Debdy, someone I've known for a long time. M. Night Shyamalan is a weird one because he started off really, really strong with a couple of his films and got really, really rocky after a while, right? So when you think about these first couple films, people don't really think about like Praying with Anger, Wide Awake, but The Sixth Sense is a classic, right? It's maybe not the most rewatchable classic because once you know the twist, the film is not as mysterious and it's great, but it's still a great movie. Unbreakable, also one of the most underrated comic booky superhero kind of films. Signs, Village, Lady in Water, The Happening is a stretch where like a lot of people love these films and a lot of people don't like these films. It's very divided, and I think that's where he lands. He started becoming divided here, but the filmmaking in these films is really really strong and very unique. When I watch a M Night Shyamalan film, I know I'm going to get a unique experience, and that's why I really really enjoy watching his films. But then he has something like Last Airbender, which is a terrible adaptation of a beloved franchise. He did a terrible job with it to the point where he apologized for it. And then After Earth and The Visit are also not good. The Visit, After Earth more not being good, but The Visit really really not good. Split is a fantastic film, right? Glass I haven't gotten to see, but you know I hear that one is shaky after Unbreakable and Split being such great movies. Split, James McAvoy probably should have got nominated for an Oscar for that. Old is another film and Knock at the Cabin and Trap are three films that people are shaky on. I hear some people really like Old, but not say it's great. I see a lot of people don't like it. Knock at the Cabin is a film that I liked, but didn't think it went far enough, and it's not great. And Trap I absolutely love. Right. This next movie Remain hasn't come out yet, so we'll see how good that movie is. But M. Night Shyamalan, I don't think he's overrated overall, even despite what I said, because he has one definitive film that people say is a classic, which is The Sixth Sense. But I don't see people saying that M. Night Shyamalan is one of the best directors of all time. I don't see him in that conversation. I don't really see him being one of those directors that people say is in their top 10 directors of all time and have a bunch of his movies in there. But kind of like Michael Bay, but in a different way. He's a really fun director. You don't know what you're going to get with him. You know you're going to get a unique experience. So I appreciate Michael Bay for that. So for me, I don't think he's overrated because he's not a director that people bring up all the time as one of the best, but he's also not a terrible catalog that he has. Let's see what books Gers and Purrs is saying. She says, Spoiler Kings mentioned your segment the other day, and I wanted to be here for it. Woody Allen is overrated. I thought that before his controversy, and I've seen a couple of his movies, and I don't get it. They are snoozy. They're a snoozy fest with a recycled plot. I've heard that a lot before about Woody Allen, and he is someone that's going to be coming up on this list pretty soon. There are some people that do have it. I think the Spoiler Kings I have up here, and they did mention Woody Allen. I think he had a lot of hype before the controversy. I do think people have kind of re-looked at his films afterwards, but some people who are detached from all that are younger and didn't grow up with them going back to watch it don't have those nostalgia goggles, and it's not really working for them. So, yeah, Woody Allen is one of those ones where his status has been pegged down a bunch. Another one here, and I can't remember. Do this for this from the Days Avenue, someone that is a friend of the community and a great YouTuber himself. Said James Cameron, which is a very very interesting one because Jimmy, they always say don't bet against Jimmy, because he is one of the most prolific directors of all times in terms of box office, popularity for his films. Piranha 2 is a kind of a throwaway film for me, but The Terminator, Aliens, one of the greatest sequels of all time. Terminator 2, one of the greatest sequels of all time. And I would say Avatar Way of the Water, to me, is one of the greatest sequels of all time. To me, he has three of the greatest sequels of all time. He has Terminator, which is one of the greatest sci-fi films of all time. The Abyss is underrated. True Lies is a great film. Titanic is one of the highest grossing movies of all time. I haven't seen it, but people love that film. And so where it comes mixy, and I think where people kind of want to say he's overrated is because he's spent so much of his career on these Avatar films, right? Avatar 1 and then Avatar Way of the Water. I love both Avatar films. I think they're fantastic theatrical films. Even with the Avatar film directly, I've seen it seen Avatar at home. I never saw it when it originally released, and I was blown away because a lot of people talked about, oh, it's just Fern Gully, but with blue people and this and that. But I'm like, this is really good. I'm invested. The VFX are fantastic, and yeah, it's a cookie cutter story. But when cookie cutter stories are done right, I'm down. And I think James Cameron is not overrated. I think that he's done a great job of influencing a generation of filmmakers with his films. I think that what he's done in a lot of his films make them hold up. I think Avatar maybe not gonna hold up as much because the VFX in that it's a little wonky a little bit when watching it now because the movie came out like 2009 I think. But Avatar 2 looks fantastic, and I think that movie's gonna look good 10, 15, 20 years from now. Terminator 2 looks fantastic. Aliens is so good, and it's probably my favorite or second favorite Alien film that I've seen so far. And he just has films that has such great impact and has been copied and copied but not overpassed. And I don't think he's an overrated director. I don't agree with James Cameron. I think he's fantastic. Remove this. This one's gonna be a little controversial, but we'll see how people feel. My friend Maxwell Calendar said the Wachowskis are one of the most overrated directors of all time. He had a specific reason because another friend of mine, Robert Valadez, asked him, "Hey, why do you think they stole something?" Because it was within the replies, and the original author name is Sophia Stewart. Look up whenever. So there's a controversy with the Wachowskis in terms of the biggest claim of fame that they have is Matrix, right? The Matrix franchise. And the first one is considered the best one, and there's like a diminished return as they kept making movies. And Sophia Stewart, a black woman who created a script and submitted to Warner Brothers called The Third Eye, had a lot of similarities to what is in the Matrix and also what's in the Terminator film. And she also has sued Warner Brothers, the Wachowskis, and James Cameron for taking her ideas. And it's been like a muddled history in terms of if it's true or not, because in the court suit they kind of said that there's no findings for that, the fact that they stole it, but the Wachowskis have taken a stance of not doing interviews about the Matrix. They don't want to really talk about it and talk about different aspects that inspire them, because she's gone on record saying if they claim this, I'll have proof where in my original story this came from. So I think because The fact that their biggest film and claim to fame, one of the most influential films of all time, Bullet Time, has literally changed the game. In terms of that, I think that it's a mixed bag because yes, they took the script, but the visual aspect of Matrix is what they did, and they influenced decades worth of action and sci-fi films. They launched a Keanu Reeves to the stratosphere and a couple other actors, and they did a really really good job. But when you look at their filmography, the things that they actually directed, Bound, a film that no one talks about, The Matrix obviously being fantastic. Let's see, Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions are films that people say fall off completely because the story is not as good. If the accusations are correct, and they did take the original idea from the Third Eye, shows why they couldn't really follow up with the next 2 to 3 films. Um, and then you think about Speed Racer, which is a film that I heard people really, really like, but didn't really land. It has very, very mixed reviews. Cloud Atlas, also a film that people don't really care for, and then Jupiter Ascending, also a film that people don't really care for, don't really champion. So the fact that they don't have a really great track record outside the first Matrix, I can definitely see these directors, the combination of the Wachowskis being considered overrated, especially if you come on with the controversy that they may not even come up with their best idea that they had. Moving on to Ryan Johnson. Oh man, this one is hard. This is coming from Acres of Movies, friend of the channel, someone that's usually in my live streams a lot and comments on some of my videos, aka Steph or Stacy. Sorry, appreciate you. Ryan Johnson's a director who I really really like. He's made some great movies that I really really appreciate, and Brick is something that I think not an all-time film, but a really really solid start in his debut. Same thing with The Brothers Bloom, great film, not an all-timer. But when it comes to something like Looper, I think Looper is a great film. This is one of my favorite sci-fi films. So there, where I think people attack Ryan Johnson is because of Star Wars: The Last Jedi, because a lot of people hate that movie and it's very divisive. I think there's a lot of people who retroactively have said, it's not as bad, or people like me who actually liked it from the get-go and think it's one of the best Star Wars movies because they try to dare do something different from the rest of the franchise. That movie became divisive, and I think people try to say that he's not a good director solely because of that film. But then he recoups with something like Knives Out, which is great and has revitalized the mystery genre, right? Like we're getting a lot more mystery movies, a lot of movies where there's detectives. I think really helping the Batman film that recently came out with Matt Reeves being received more well because we're seeing these detective movies. Glass Onion, a phenomenal follow-up, and I think it's better. And I'm looking forward to Wake Up Dead Man that hasn't come out. But I think Ryan Johnson hasn't had a long career. He doesn't have a lot of movies under his belt. But I think he's a director that has a lot of talent, and I don't think he's overrated because I don't think a lot of people put him up there as one of the best directors doing it in this space. Like when we think about that, like the best directors doing it right now, like currently, people think about like Greta Gerwig, we think about Jordan Peele, we think about Ryan Coogler, we think about Ari Aster, we think about Robert Eggers, we think about obviously Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve. Ryan Johnson's not really in that tier. He's not really in that conversation. He's definitely not in an all-time conversation, and he's not into like the current scoop of directors that people have talked about because he just doesn't have the pedigree. When you think about all those other directors and what they do, and then we have a couple other people in there. Obviously, Steven Spielberg is still going up, and he's one of those people in here. I don't think Ryan Johnson is one of the worst ones. Bookers and Purrs says, yeah, hearing about what the Wakachis allegedly did was just disappointing. As David Grohl admitted, he stole the drum beats he had was in Nirvana. Yes, I remember him going on record and admitting that. But with music, it's a little different. People kind of take drum beats and sounds and retool things all the time. So that's a little different. But I think Stephanie or Sophia, I'm forgetting what the lady's name is. I apologize. She didn't even get to make her movie. If she would have made the movie and then got her stuff stolen, then I would have been like, all right, well, that kind of sucks. But the fact that she didn't even get to make the film. She submitted it and they didn't make the film, and they kind of gave her ideas away to other directors. Really suck. And it is also a long history of black creatives getting their ideas stolen, especially back then. It's still happening now. So it's really, really unfortunate. So yeah, when it comes to film like that, when you're having that kind of controversy happening right now with the movie Together that's coming out, that horror film that everybody's hyped up, where someone came out with a movie and it was also submitted to Warner Brothers, but then not bought, and then they did it independently, and then Warner Brothers gets them to maybe do something so similar. There's like a mixture of people that's like, I don't even want to see this film anymore because it looks so good, but there's so much of it that sounds similar to that film that had lesser stars and lesser star power. So that's totally rough. When you kind of steal ideas, it's rough. It's the same thing with kind of Dune and Star Wars and George Lucas, who I'm going to be talking about later on as well. I enjoy Ryan Johnson. Brick is one of my faves. Brick is a great film. I really enjoy Ryan Johnson. He's one of my favorite directors doing it right now. But I don't think he's overrated, like you said. CC, what's up? How you doing, man? You're like me, not watching Superman right now. One of the people who are not getting to see it early has to wait till Friday. Next up is from Grant Taylor. Oh, I'll keep forgetting to switch it off. Grant A. Taylor. He said Terrence Malick and Joe Wright, though some of his films are good. This is two people that I wasn't super duper familiar with, so I had to do a little bit of research. And when I look at Terrence Malick's filmography, one of the things I talk about is, are you someone that gets talked about a lot in terms of best directors? Are you someone that gets like one type particular style have no diversity, and someone that has a bunch of stinkers, right? So when I did my research, I said I had to disagree with Terrence Malick, right? Even though I haven't seen a ton of his films, I don't think he's overrated because I don't hear his name being thrown around that much in the film community as one of the best directors, and I don't hear his name being thrown around that much at all. People don't really talk about him being one of the most must-see auteurs all the time. You don't hear his name a lot. I've heard his name around, but it's not one of those directors that you get pushed in your face as one of the best directors. But he has films that are influential and talked about a good amount, like Tree of Life, Days of Heaven, The Thin Red Line, that I hear about all the time, that not must-see movies, but movies that are kind of underrated. But I don't think in the contemporary space right now, he's someone that's heralded, right? A lot of his films came out in the early 2000s and before. A lot of things that he's come out in the recent years have kind of come and gone, but not in terms of like they're bad. This is solid, but not something that's going to be the best of the year. So I wouldn't say Terrence Malick is outright overrated because of his current status. Maybe in his heyday before the 2000s, people were talking him up, but I don't think he's someone that a lot of people are talking up overall. When you think of someone like Peter Jackson, who hasn't really done a movie, and you still hear his name because of what he did in a section of his life, you don't hear Terrence Malick in that light. And there's the follow up with like Joe Wright. Joe Wright is a little different because he has Pride and Prejudice, The Atonement, The Soulless, which are three films which are more currently in the modern era that people actually absolutely love. Hannah, which is a film that I think is a little bit more underrated, but I heard is really, really good. Pan is not a film that people like and are shaky on, but Darkest Hour is a film that people really, really like. And then his 2021 films, definitely shaky. The Woman in the Window is shaky. Serrano, I don't really hear about at all. I haven't seen. But I think that Joe Malick is a director I've heard a lot. I don't see him as another director, just kind of like Terrence Malick. That's one of the best of all time. But I do think he does quality work. I think when you look at his scope, his first film being directed in 2005. He does Pride and Prejudice, Atonement, The Soulless, and then Hannah, right? Four films that I think straight in a row are really, really strong. I haven't seen Anna Karina. Her Pan is not great, but then Darkest Hour come out. So that in 2017, and it's a movie that a lot of people think is great. I don't want to say he's overrated. I think he has a quality scope there. Like you said, though some of his films are good, I think he has more good than bad. So I wouldn't say Joe Wright's overrated. Everybody's watching Superman. Yeah, everybody watches Superman right now. I have so much FOMO. Hey, CC says I love Hannah, one of my faves. I've heard really great things about that film. I've seen more of his films before Hannah, but and I haven't seen really Hannah and above. Anytime I hear someone say Christopher Nolan's the best director, I just roll my eyes. He may not be overrated, but he's definitely overhyped. Interesting. So let's stop here because he's not a director that was submitted. So I'm glad that you said this. I was on the train with you for a little while, and this is because I haven't seen a ton of his films. I saw the film The Dark Knight trilogy, right? Those are the films I saw, and I'm not in love with his interpretation of Batman. I think all three of those films are great, but I think they're a bit overhyped in terms of an adaptation of Batman and what they do in terms of the costume and how he does the villains, and especially the action. I think mostly the action is where things get shaky. But when I start looking at things outside of his Dark Knight trilogy, I love Inception, one of my favorite films of all time. I think Oppenheimer is one of the greatest films ever made, even though maybe not one of my favorite films of all time. Interstellar is such a fantastic sci-fi film that I love, and I think that's the movie with the most heart. And then when you go backwards, before the Dark Knight trilogy, he has some really intelligent, unique films. But I can see why people feel like he's overrated, and I can half agree, right? Like I don't agree fully that he's overrated because I love a lot of his movies, but I half agree that he's kind of overrated, and I can see why. Because one, and it's similar to my problem with Quentin Tarantino, right? He doesn't he either doesn't write black characters, or if when he does, like Tenet, he doesn't write them well or set them up for failure. He did not do John David Washington any justice in that film in terms of how he filmed him, how he had his love interest being like 7 feet taller than him, how he had him dressed, how he had it was just not good, right? And he doesn't do a good job with non-white characters. And then when you think about his female characters, they're not written well at all. So when you think about his writing and how he tells his stories, I could definitely see why people think he's overrated when he comes to like diversity of characters. He's just not good at writing people that are not white men. So that I think that's what it is. And yeah, exactly, as a black woman, I don't connect with a lot of his work. And I definitely think it's something that is I think that's something that's cultural, right? Like if you are a white guy, and there's nothing wrong with this, you're not going to notice it as much because you're not looking for that, right? You're looking to connect to the movie, and you see people who look like you, and that's really you don't really. Most people don't think out through the scope of that when you're watching something. Like when I watch a black movie, I'm not thinking about how was the white character written. Like I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about, are these black characters dope? Is this story great? So I totally understand that. But when you're not that, it's hard to connect. So I can see why he could be a little bit overrated because I do think he lacks diversity into what he's writing. And I'm looking at the Odyssey and the casting of that, and I think it's going to continue. I don't think the women in that movie is going to be written that great. I don't think the people of color that's put in that movie are going to get to shine that well or be filmed really well. But I think the movie is going to be great overall, despite his lack of being able to do great things there. So thank you for saying that because I didn't have him. He's not one of the people that was submitted to me. So we got some people in the chat. Zach, what's up? Daddy Zach, what's up, man? Congratulations. I believe you got was it 2,000 subscribers recently or 3,000 subscribers? I know you hit a milestone, and I didn't get to catch the live stream, which sucks because I miss your live streams. But he said the audacity of putting Jurassic Park's logo on the thumbnail. Hey man, I got you in here, right? No, I'm joking. Yeah, when the person who put him up here as one of the directors, I was like, I gotta put his heralded films, and Jurassic Park is one of the most influential films that he's done. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. CC said Dark Knight trilogy was fire. Yeah, Della Movies, what's up, man? Ooh, overrated. J.J. Abrams. He's often compared to Spielberg's sensibility when it comes to filmmaking, but I don't think he lives up to the comparison. I think J.J. Abrams is overrated as well, and it's not because he's not a talented director. I think mostly what the problem is, he's really good at starting things, but he's not good at finishing them, right? Like he started really good with Star Trek and then kind of just handed it off. He started really strong with Star Wars and then kind of just handed it off and then tried to come back and kind of fumbled the back. He started really good with Cloverfield and then kind of fumbled that off as well. He did a really good Steven Spielberg imitation with Super 8, which I really love, but it feels like imitation, right? Did he do Mission Impossible 3? He did Mission Impossible 3. I think that's one of the best Mission Impossible. So, you know, and he did Star Trek Into the Darkness, which is one of my favorite Star Trek films. I don't think he did 10 Cloverfield Lane. No, that was Dan Trachtenberg. And then when you think about, like, he's done mostly TV show work, that is great. But outside of those films I've talked about, he gets really, really shaky. He doesn't have a diverse, directed filmography. He did 2 Star Wars films, three, I think, was it 3 Star Trek films? Did he do Beyond? I don't think he did Beyond. That's why I'm going to have to go off the cuff because I didn't have J.J. Abrams here, so I didn't prepare anything for him. But I don't think he did Beyond. But yeah, I think a lot of his films get shaky because he starts off really great, but he doesn't fill his trilogies well, and he really just digs it deep when he does that. I think he's a better producer than a director. Talented, but a bit overrated. So I can agree with you on that. Richard Linklater is trash. I'm about to drive, but I'm listening. Woof. Okay, he's another director that wasn't submitted to me, and I've heard his name a tons. Is he trash? Let's see what he's done. He's done the Sunrise trilogy, where I hear people talk about those trilogy films all the time. It's some of the best romantic comedies of all time. Boyhood, which did something revolutionary, filming over a 12-year span, I believe, so people could grow up, and showing the growing up of a boy into a teenager into a man, which I think is awesome. I don't know if the movie's good. He did Hitman, which I love. Days of Confused is a film that people absolutely love. School of Rock was him. Yeah, that's a movie that people absolutely love. The thing with me, I can't say he's overrated because I've only really seen one of his most recent films, and that's like Hitman, right? But he has so many films here that are so talked about all the time as some of the best films in the genre, and they're diverse. It's hard for me to say that he's overrated. He does have a lot more other films that he's worked on, so maybe that's where you come from, where you've seen some of his older films, some of the other things that he's done, where you're like, oh, these other films are trash. But I can't particularly say that he's overrated because he has some influential stuff in there, and I'm super unfamiliar with some of his stuff. What about Jackie Brown? Did you like that? I couldn't get through Jackie Brown. It was tough. It was tough for me. It was tough for me to get through Jackie Brown. Hurt. I know a lot of people love it, but it just wasn't for me. Coming up next, this was, I think I asked this on Discord. This guy threw in a bunch. This was a multi, right? And the first one was very interesting. So yeah, I got somebody that said Martin Scorsese. And why I brought it up is because someone also said Martin Scorsese as well. And I think I got 1 or 2 more that people said Martin Scorsese, which really, really surprised me because Martin Scorsese is one of those directors that gets talked about as one of the most heralded directors, right? And he has such a long list of films that he's directed. I couldn't even screenshot all of them here, and I had to like minimize it a little bit. But when you talk about making some of the greatest kind of gangster street life New York films, we talk about Mean Streets, Taxi Driver, New York, New York, Raging Bull, The Kings of Comedy. When you go into that, and Goodfellas, right, which I recently saw a couple years ago, Casino, which is the fact that he did Goodfellas and Casino, which are films that people compare versus each other, which one is better, and Gangs of New York, right? And The Departed. He has a plethora of gangster movies that are the most influential gangster movies of all time. And then why I don't think he's overrated, because people say, oh, he only makes the same kind of film. But I don't agree with that, because when you go outside of those films that I just named, and the film's talking about people who are struggling, we have something like After Hours, which is very, very different from that. The Last Temptation of Christ, which is different from that. Cape Fear, which is a little different. The Age of Innocence, which is different from those films. Kundum, which is a very underrated film that he's done. Bringing Out the Dead, The Aviator, Shutter Island, which is one of the most unique films. And then obviously recent films like Wolf of Wall Street, Silence, and Kills the Flower Moon. I think The Irishman is just overly long. I think that's one of his problems that he has, that people can't connect with him, is that his films are so long. So it's so like people don't want to engage with his films because they're so long. I don't think Martin Scorsese is overrated because he has such a plethora. He hits a lot of the notes, even though I haven't watched all his films. He has a genre that he nails. he has films outside of that genre that he knows that are really, really good. Even if you maybe not love them, they're really well made. It maybe just didn't connect with them. And he's very, very consistent in terms of quality of his filmmaking and storytelling. I think his main issue is that he doesn't know how to edit his films down. Kills Flower Moon is so long for the story that he's telling there, right? And he continues to want to do these long, long films, even though it's not necessary. Let's see. Damn, Zach hitting the tough opinions and hot takes. Respect, but damn. That's what I'm here for, man. When Kenny told me that he was gonna go see Superman tonight, and he was like, "Yeah, you could take the stream off, or you can do solo." I was like, "What am I gonna do solo stream? I haven't solo streamed in a long time." And I was like, "I've been wanting to do this video for a long time. I was gonna do it like an edited version of it, but I felt like this was more fun doing it where I can live stream and take your feedback right away." The viewer Drew, what's up, man? How you doing? Tell me if it's a hot take. Ari Aster is overrated. I've heard that take a lot. He has a particular style that people are not, loving, and I'm going to talk about that as well in terms of people having particular styles, and maybe they're not overrated. It's just their particular style you don't love. I in particular don't think Ari Aster is overrated. The strange things about the Johnsons is such a weird short, but very poignant. I love Midsummer, I love Hereditary, and I love Beau is Afraid, right? So for me, he's definitely not overrated, but I can understand why you think that because he has a very particular style that some people just don't like. And I can see why people think that. I don't think he's particularly overrated. I think he does a really great job in what he does. And I don't think his films are all the same. I don't think Midsummer, Hereditary, and Beau is Afraid are similar. I think if you watch that, you might watch Beau is Afraid and not realize it's the same person. I'm excited to see Edison and see how that comes out. I also think he's a really strong producer because he produces Dream Scenario, which I really, really love. He produced Death of the Unicorn, which was really, really fun. He also produced Sasquatch Sunset, which I really, really liked as well. He's one of the best. I think for me, he's one of the best directors doing it right now. But I understand why if you don't particularly love Ari Aster. Damn. Okay, Martin Scorsese, fire. That's a lot of movies. Yeah, I had to cut off some of his movies because there was movies before Mean Streets that I didn't get to put in there that were more classical, like romance films that he's done, but like a lot of people don't think about. But I wanted to make sure I got his major films in the picture. But yeah, he has a long storied career. He has a ton of films that he's done versus everybody, and the fact that he's done a ton and so much of them are quality, I think puts him up there as one of the best. Maybe I'm just a nice person. I don't really have an overrated director in my opinion. I think Jon Favreau and Tim Burton doesn't get enough love as much as they do. If this is a hot take, okay, I think Tim Burton gets a lot of love, but I don't think Jon Favreau does. So I think that's a good take right there. And I love the positivity, right? Like I'm all positive about films. I like to be all positive about films, but I think Jon Favreau and Tim Burton are ones. I think Tim Burton is talked about a lot. Jon Favreau not so much, but he has a plethora of films that are really, really good. And obviously, he directed one of the most, to me, maybe this might be a hot take, one of the most influential films of all time, and that's Iron Man. Right? He did a fantastic job with Iron Man. So because StreamYards is a silly billy willy willy nilly, it wouldn't let me upload all the takes you guys had. So I have to literally delete some of these and so I can upload the other ones that I like. So I'm deleting all the ones that I've talked about already. Um, and let me remove this. And let me think about this. So these ones, I didn't particular pull up their filmography because you talked about Martin Scorsese and obviously Kyrie did as well. Thank you everybody for the submissions. Um, he talked about George Lucas. I kind of have to agree with George Lucas. He did um, the Star Wars films, and I don't think he directed all of them, right? I think the ones people really, really like, he didn't direct. I mean, I might be wrong. Yeah, so yeah, he didn't direct them. I think there were three different directors, and then the ones that he did direct are shaky. Like a lot of people think that the last film is great, but those first two ones in the prequel trilogy are shaky, and then the first New Hope. A lot of people are divisive on that film, but Empire Strikes Back people think is one of the greatest films of all time, and everything like that. And I think when you come outside of his Star Wars films, I think that's where things get shaky, right? Because he hasn't really directed much. He's written a lot of other films, but when you think about directing, like American Graffiti is a film that I heard people like, but it's not really loved and talked about that hard. But outside of that, he doesn't really have a ton of films that people love outside of Star Wars. So I do think I can see why he's a bit overrated as a film director, because the films that he's associated with is because of someone else directing it. A lot of people talk about the technical marvelly of, I don't know if I said that word right, of the Star Wars films, and that's why those films are so influential and people love them so much. But a lot of that story he did take from Hubert from Dune. He took a lot from Dune, a lot from Dune. A lot of his vision, you just said he's a visionary director, is from Dune, and a lot of people saying, "Oh, Dune is very similar um, to." I'm pretty sure Steven Spielberg directed Indiana Jones, not George Lucas. A lot of his stuff's kind of like the Wachowski steak taking from that lady for the Matrix. A lot of stuff from Star Wars he took from Dune, from the Dune books. So I think he is a bit overrated as a director. As a writer, he might not be as, but as a director, he is. Terrence Malick, I've talked about. Oh no, I didn't talk about that. I don't know. That was Terrence. Yeah, Terrence Malick. We talked about it already. And I talked about, I don't think he's overrated because I don't think he's considered one of the best to do it, but he has strong catalog. George Romero, I think, is one of those people that I can see why people think he's overrated. I think he did a few films that are very influential in terms of the horror and zombie genre, in terms of the vision and everything like that. Obviously, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead. And then when you come outside of those first two Dead movies, Day of the Dead and Land of the Dead are very, very shaky at best. He did Creep Show, which is influential, and that Creep Show series. But outside of those, that's where kind of his filmography gets very, very shaky, and I definitely can agree that he's a bit overrated as a director. I think he's more better as a writer, but not as a director. And then Wes Craven is also, I think, in a similar boat as that in terms of his filmography and what he's done. I think he influenced so much with doing Scream, Nightmare. Wait, did he direct this? I think I'm trying to say if he wrote it or directed. He directed Scream, and he directed Nightmare on Elm Street, well, two of the most influential horror films of all time. He did Red Eye, which is fantastic as well. Um, and he also did The Hills Have Eyes. So I don't know if I could call him overrated. He has a lot of just because of just those films I just said. I don't know if he's overrated. I think that because he was so influential on horror, those first couple films and then the sequels to them, I think he did a really, really great job with those. Even something like, well, he didn't direct this. I was about to say Dracula 2000, but he wrote that. He didn't direct it. But like outside of that, he has a couple films that are super influential, and then he produced and co-wrote a bunch of other movies. I can't agree about Wes Craven. George Romero, yeah. Wes Craven, I can't. And then Ridley Scott is tough because for every fantastic film that he has a shaky one. Uh, so I don't want to say he's overrated particular because Gladiator's a strong film. The Last Duel, which is more recent, is a strong film. Martian is a strong film. But then he also did Exodus: Gods and Kings, which is atrocious. Prometheus, which is very divisive, but her is a great film overall. I think just people didn't expect it. But then he also did House of Gucci and Napoleon recently, which is not great. Gladiator 2, which is a sequel to that classic film, is shaky for a lot of people. I liked it, but a lot of people didn't. But he also did Kingdom of Heaven. G.I. Jane is a little funny on that end. Matchstick Men is a film that is great. Thelma and Louise is a classic. Black Hawk Down is a classic. So for me, and Blade Runner, obviously, and an original Alien. So it's hard for me to say he's overrated because he also not only has been consistently putting out great films throughout the years, while he has some shaky ones in there, but he's been so super consistent for from 1977 up until now, right? The Duelist, Alien, Blade Runner, Legends, an underrated film. Thelma and Louise. I'm gonna say G.I. Jane, Gladiator, Hannibal, Black Hawk Down, Magic Man. That's all in a row. Kingdom Heaven's also in a row as well. American Gangster, phenomenal film, and also something that really elevated Denzel in a way that we needed for the black community. You know what I mean? Robin Hood is a film people love. So like when I'm going down this list, and this is from the 70s. He's influenced in the 80s, influenced in the 90s, he's influenced in the early 2000s, the 2010s, and now he's in the 2020s. That's where things get shaky because the 2020s is The Last Duel, which is an underrated great film, but then the other three, which is The House of Gucci, Napoleon, and Gladiator 2, all shaky. So I can't agree that he's overrated, but I think that he has some shaky films in his catalog, which is fair. I think a lot of people can say that. Let's see if I missed anything. I probably did miss something. Yeah, I missed some of y'all stuff. Oops, 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 oops. I'm not just a nice person, and also prodigious. It's nothing wrong with being a nice person and enjoying films for what they are. I'm like that too. I get called, oh, you like everything, which is not true. But I can enjoy a film for what it is. What it is. Had to pull over. Linklater makes a bunch of movies where nothing happens, have no point, little to no plot, and characters generally don't learn anything. I find myself bored most of his work. That's totally fine. I think that there are movies that are slice of life vibe films that people just like seeing people life being played out like that, kind of like a better reality TV show, and he fits that mold. And if you want something that's more plot driven, action oriented, and not I'm not talking about action with fists, but there's action oriented in terms of this person needs to do this before this and stuff like that. I understand why you don't like that kind of filmmaking. I definitely understand that. One of my favorite films, but like from last year was oh my god, it was this Korean film that was phenomenal, but it was like that what you're describing. It was a lot of things where it feel like nothing is happening. We're just watching this person's life, but the way it was executed was brilliant. I'm forgetting what the name of the movie was. I think it came out last year. Prince, aka, said, "So happy I could hug a cactus." Damn, bruh. Who voted? How many people? Let's see. So I put a poll, 13 votes. Thank you for everybody voting. And 38% of you guys are so happy you could hug a cactus, but the other 31% you're at 21% or 2% battery life. So you guys are tired out here. I feel you. I feel you. The Juju says, I also think that Josh Whedon is kind of overrated. I heard people say that he's still an amazing director, but I think his reputation has been run into the ground. So I don't want to talk about like people's outside reputation in terms of what they do, in terms of like if they're a great director. That's a different conversation. It's like if you can you watch their movies. For me, it's interesting because he did the Avengers films, one of the most influential films of all time that caused studios to try to make their own. And now anytime people do a kind of a team up movie, they're trying to replicate that film. He also did Age of Ultron, which I think is underrated. I think if you think about his directing prowess in terms of film, like not TV, in terms of film, I could kind of see where that comes from. I think he's more prolific in television than film because he writes a lot and produces a lot for film, but he doesn't really direct a lot of movies that are dope. Like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I love that. Angel, I love that. Firefly, I love that, right? Directed and created all those films. I don't even know if he directed every episode, so that's another thing, but he definitely was a showrunner. Dollhouse is another film that's fantastic. He helped Cabin in the Woods. So when you think about like what he actually directed himself, I could see him being overrated as a director. Excuse me, sorry. Even though he has a classic under his belt like The Avengers, but he also did Justice League, which was terrible, right? But when you think about the films that he actually direct, I can see that. I can agree. I can see that even though he did a fantastic film that I love, I can see Josh Whedon being overrated, and I'll agree with that. Terrence Malick bores me to tears. That's fair, man. That's fair. Useless skill said, I unsubscribed and resubscribed just to get it out of the way early. I appreciate that. Let's not go through this. Welcome to live stream, man. I appreciate you being here. Prince says, I'm throwing my hat out there. I can't stand Wes Anderson, but I'm willing to give Phoenician Scheme a shot. This could change my opinion on him. So I actually have somebody who said that. Is that that's perfect that you said that, because I removed that. Anthony Kramer of the Spoiler Kings. You guys know him. Everybody knows the Spoiler Kings, the fearless leader of the Spoiler Kings. He actually put Wes Anderson up there. So you talked about Michael Bay. I talked about Michael Bay earlier in terms of, or actually, did I get to talk about Michael Bay yet? No, I didn't. But let's talk about Wes Anderson first. So Wes Anderson is interesting because I haven't seen all of Wes Anderson's filmography, but every movie that I've seen for Wes Anderson, I like. And I think maybe it's a thing of he's great in doses, because he's one of those directors that does a similar style and a very contained style in every single movie he does. The Grand Budapest Hotel is a film that people absolutely love. I haven't gotten to see it yet. So is the Fantastic Mr. Fox, but I've seen Asteroid City and I thought that movie was great, but a lot of people are shaky on it. I saw Isle of Dogs and I really love Isle of Dogs as well. But when you think about everything else, he has the Phoenician Scheme that just recently came out. I heard mixed things about that. He has the Royal Tenenbaums that people really love. Moonrise Kingdom people really love. French Dispatch, which is shaky. Rushmore, The Life Aquatic, people really love. So he has a ton of films with a style that people try to replicate and can't, that people absolutely love. And you know when you're going for him, you're going to get a certain quality that you're going to enjoy. So I think he's carved a really great space for himself with what he does. I don't think he's a director you want to binge his films because of how similar his style is and everything, and how he does a lot of things where everybody feels like they're in a play in this heightened play mode. But I could definitely see people not vibing with what he does, so saying he's overrated. But if you love what he does, he's the best. We talked about Woody Allen. I'm gonna go over him real quick. Did I pull up his? Did I pull up his? Oh, I did have Wes Anderson stuff here. I'm over here. I have Wes Anderson stuff up here. I apologize, guys. I have a lot of stuff all over the place because StreamYard is very limited in what you could put where. So yeah, this was all the films that he's done so far. And I think he has a great track record here. A lot of people love a lot of these films, but like I said, he is a director where it's like his style. You have to have a particular taste for it. Did I have Woody Allen up here? Because I knew I couldn't upload everything I wanted. No. So I did Terrence Malick. We remove that. I did Martin Scorsese. I did Joe Wright. So let's remove those. Let's talk about good old Michael Bay. That's a funny one. Michael Bay movies, right? It's hard for me, right? Like, if you say Michael Bay is overrated, I'm not gonna fight you on it, right? That is not something I'm gonna fight you on. But for me in particular, I can't say he's overrated because when it comes to Bad Boys, The Rock, Armageddon, I haven't seen Pearl Harbor, but it's a film that people love. Bad Boys 2, Transformers 1, 2, and 3. I know a lot of people don't like 2 and 3. I like 2 and 3. I love 2 and 3. When it comes to Pain and Gain, and then also Ambulance, these are films that I like a lot or love a lot. And he brought a franchise to life that I absolutely love in the Transformers franchise, and he gave me an action film that's two of my favorite black performers all time, and he doesn't do it where they feel like stereotypes. They feel like fun characters that don't feel like harmful stereotypes, and I love that. The fact that he's one of the few black directors who do blockbuster filmmaking and was able to do that, and and I really appreciate him for that. So yeah, if you're not into his style of films, which is a little soulless, other than like kind of Pearl Harbor and maybe Armageddon has a little bit of message in there, Pain and Gain as well. But most of people know him for the Bad Boy movies and Transformer movies, and I can see people saying that, right? And then also obviously Age of Extinction and Last Night is not good. So So I can see why people are like, oh, he ran out of ideas. And I don't think he did he direct all those? Yeah, he did direct all the original ones. Six Underground is actually is awful. I watched that with my mom. It was not good. But I actually like Michael Bay a lot. I can see why you think he's overrated. I'm gonna talk about Zack Snyder later, and he said that in a funny way. But somebody else said Zack Snyder, so I'm gonna talk about that later. So let me upload a little bit more of these. And keep dropping your comments in there. I'm gonna get to them. Appreciate everybody um kind of chiming in and stuff like that and checking this out. Boo, 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 boo. All right. Okay, here we go. So upload that. This is Joshua who talked about Yorgos Lanthimos. Woo! I have a diatribe on that one. Let me see. Yorgos Lanthimos. Who else was up there? I guess you guys are gonna getting a sneak peek because when I upload them, you're gonna see. Someone else also said Woody Allen. This is Travis from Candidate Movies, friend of the channel. Someone you guys should subscribe to. He said Woody Allen as well. So I think Bookers and Purrs talked about Woody Allen being overrated. This one is going to be interesting because if you're a cinephile, Dark Movies came at with Alfred Hitchcock. This is like a cinephile guy. Like he's interesting. We also talked about Zack Snyder. I'm going to be talking about Zack Snyder because of my boy, live from the Milky Way, Tim Barretto, somebody that is cool beans, but hurt me with that take. And let's upload this one, right? And then we'll get to the rest later because I won't hold you guys. So let's talk about Yorgos Lanthimos, a director that I think a lot of people love and been heralding. And I think when it comes to some of the best directors, they're kind of trying to put him in that space. He's similar to Wes Anderson, where he kind of has this style that is very, very specific. And just like Wes Anderson, where I said he has a particular style that you either love or you do not love. And for me, I do not really love his style. From all the films that I've seen, for me, it's really easy for me to finish a film without turning it off and like, oh, I can't. I'll wait to see. I've turned off Yorgos films, right? The only one that I've seen that he's made and it's creeping into one of my favorite films of all time, which is so funny, is Poor Things. I love Poor Things. I thought that movie was fantastic. But when I watch his other movies, it's either like I can't wait for this to end, like his film that he came out with last year, or some of the other films that he's come out with before I try to watch it. I just can't. He has a particular style, a particular way he does his films that just do not talk to me at all. So I don't want to say he's overrated because his style doesn't talk to me, but he just does not work for me. And obviously, he doesn't work for Joshua as well. I'm actually surprised I didn't put Yorgos in here. Or maybe I did, and it didn't let me upload. Did I look up Yorgos Lanthimos? Filmography? No, I did not. All right. Well, let's see what you guys are saying. Somebody said Scooby Doo. Okay, so you said Wes Anderson. Check out. I'm gonna check out a Phoenician Scheme now too. Phoenician Scheme because it's on digital. I'm gonna check it out. Prodigious said love Favreau for Iron Man, Mandalorian, Jungle Book, and Elf. Those are Elf is a film that people absolutely love. One of those Christmas films that people are in their rotation. So he has it right there. I love The Mandalorian, but I don't think it's one of the most influential shows ever. Jungle Book is a film that people say is one of the best Disney adaptations. Iron Man is one of the greatest superhero films of all time, and is super influential. I think it's more influential than the Dark Knight trilogy. Uh Oh, also Edgar Wright. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Edgar Wright. Can I agree with that? Let me see what he's done. So Edgar Wright has done Shaun of the Dead, film that I really love, is fun. Baby Driver, film really love that he's done. The other trilogy in that the Cornetto trilogy, which is Hot Fuzz and World's End. I haven't seen Hot Fuzz and I haven't seen World's End, so I can't talk about those. Last Night in Soho was okay. It was really good until the last like 20 minutes. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is fantastic. I see Ant-Man here. I'm gonna give him a little bit of credit for Ant-Man. He did put the blueprint down there, and then Peyton Reed kind of ran with it. He's also done what else? He's done what else is actually in his filmography? He's produced a bunch of films. I feel like he's done more than this. Let me look it up real quick. So films that he's actually directed: A Fistful of Fingers I haven't seen, but Shaun of the Dead, like I said, Scott Pilgrim, like I said, The Adventures of 1010 people. Oh, he didn't direct that; he just wrote it. World's End people like as well. He didn't. He wrote Ant-Man. They give him credit for that. Baby Driver is great. I haven't. The Spark Brothers is a documentary I haven't seen, and then Last Night I Saw. So he doesn't have a long storied directing filmography. He has just directed a couple of films, and a lot of them are in a similar manner, where they're the Corretto trilogy that people love and kind of redefine zombies in terms of zombie comedies, and we have a plethora of zombie comedies now because of that. And then Scott Pilgrim is a fantastic movie, and I think Baby Driver is also as well. And I think even though all those have comedic elements, I think they're all different comedic elements. So I don't want to say he's overrated. I think actually I'm taking that back. It's hard to say, right? Because I love his films. I like his sensibilities. I'll say that he's overrated in the fact that people talk like him like he's one of the best directors of all time, but I don't think he's directed a best movie of all time. So in that gear, I'll say he's overrated, even though I like him a lot. And I forgot which director it was. I think Matt Reeves for the Planet of the Apes trilogy and Batman. Wow. Okay. Matt Reeves is one of my favorites. I love the two Planet 8 movies he did, and I love the Batman. And he also didn't he do Cloverfield? He did Cloverfield, which I also think is a great found footage sci-fi film. So it's hard for me. That's a hard one for me, man. Um, he also did Let Me In, which is a great adaptation of a French movie. I particularly can't say he's overrated. I think he made the best Batman movie, and he made the best 8 movies. So I can't agree with you on that one. But I understand if it's not your cup of tea. Yeah, it seems more like more people hate on M Night for him to be overrated. I agree with that. I do. That's why I thought it was weird for him to say M Night is overrated, because and when I do this again, I want to put people to put reasons, so it'll make it easier. Because people hate on him, right? Like people hate on him. Like the discourse on M Night is they do not like him. Similar to Zack Snyder, right? So it's really weird. Watching Mallet movies is like watching paint dry, then going outside to watch grass grow. Okay, now I'm driving for real. I appreciate you stopped driving to chime in, Dell. Sean Kenny, welcome to the live stream, man. He said, hottest take, Denis Villeneuve, dude's movies are sleep remedy for me. Oh! I can't believe I made that sound on live stream, but that hurts. Denis is my favorite or second favorite active director right now. I love his films. Prisoners is fantastic. Dune Part 2, Blade Runner 2049, Arrival. Yeah, nah. But I understand. I've heard that people say that Dune is boring. I heard people say Dune Part 2 is boring. I can definitely see people not liking it because it's not a lot of comedy in his films. I think he's kind of slower plotting film. He's a slow burn, and sometimes the burn part is not as explosive as people would like if you're going to sit there for 2 hours and 30 minutes. So I can see that. I don't think he's overrated. I think he's one of the best doing it, and if he keeps on this structure, he's going to be on one of the best of all time. But I do think maybe he's similar to Christopher Nolan in a way, but he's different because he does have fantastic female characters that have agency, kind of agency, but they also directly only do things because of men. But I haven't seen all his films, right? I've only seen some of his more bigger films like Blade Runner 2049. Not really great female characters in that. Prisoners, not really great female characters in that. Dune, Zendaya is great, and Rebecca Ferguson is great, but everything they do is around a man, so that's where that's shaky. But I heard Incendies is great. I have to check that out. Also, he did Sicario. Never mind, she's a great character as well. Emily Blunt. Yeah, I can't agree with you, man. I'm sorry. I just talked myself out of it. I can't. Matthew Vaughn, different Matthew. He's someone that a lot of people talk about a lot because the Kingsman movies. Let me see what else he has though. So the Kingsman Secret Service and the Kingsman are two films that people love. Kingsman Golden Circle I heard is shaky. Did he do Kick Ass? He did Kick Ass. Oh, I love Kick Ass. So I can't agree with that. He did X-Men First Class. I can't. Oh man, every time I'm talking about a film, I'm like, I don't know if I can. He did Snatch. No, that was Guy Ritchie. He produced it. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Did he? If he did Days of Future Past, I can't. No, that was Bryan Singer. So he probably produced that as well because he did. Let me see. Let me just go to his Wikipedia because this thing always wants to like give me produce films. I don't care about what he produced. I want to know what he directed. That's what we're talking about. Okay, so he did Stardust, which people like, but it's not super influential. Or maybe it might be. I heard that some of the aspects of it is influential. Kick Ass, one of my favorite films. X-Men First Class is one of my favorite X-Men movies. Maybe my favorite X-Men movie. He didn't direct Days of Future Past, but he did the story for it. But he did the two Kingsman movies. And then he did the King's Man, which people were shaky on, and then he did Argyle, which is a film I like because I understood what he was going for, but I can see why people don't love it. So it's hard for me because he did some of my favorite superhero films: Kick Ass, First Class, or I should say comic book films, because Kingsman and Kingman Golden Circle are both comic book films as well. But he doesn't have a plethora of films as well, of films that he's directed that are like all timers. So I could see him being directed if people are talking about him in that manner. Princess, living up to the baby cinephile persona. You have a long road to take, my dude. Keep going. Of course. I'll keep doing this till I die. I've seen Isle of Scooby. I mean, dogs though. It's really good. Yeah, it's really, really good. Fantastic, Joshua. What's up, man? How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. Happy he's directing a new Transformers movie. I'm excited to see what he does with the new Transformers movie. I'm kind of sad that the guy who did the last one is not doing another one because he did a really great job with that one. So it's unfortunate, but we have a couple other people doing stuff. I'm excited the future of Transformers. I can vouch for you that Prince about our dogs. Yeah. Yeah, Wes Anderson is a great choice. I definitely think he's overrated. A lot of people feel like that. I think Wright is underrated. Love Baby Driver. Nice. Nah, Edgar Wright is a great director. Y'all bugging. Everybody has different opinions, man. Hey, JJ Crusher, welcome to the live stream, man. How you feeling? Say, do you think Running Man Glenn Powell will deliver, Zach? The trailer was really great for Running Man. I really like Glenn Powell. Like I said, I love Edgar Wright. He's not remaking the Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's adapting the book in a different way, which I think I love that people do. I think people staying out, hey, this is similar to that movie because it's coming from the same source material, but I'm doing my own tone. I love that people do that because it adds more credence. It's like, oh, things are not original. He's bringing original ideas to something that was made before. Sometimes it doesn't work because The Crow, not good. But I think The Running Man is going to be great, at least. It might not be the great best film of the year, but I think it's going to be great at least. And I think that's what Edgar Wright is good for. I think, that at least his film is going to be great. It might not be a top 10 film of the year. It might not be a top 15, but it's going to be a great film that you get a good time with. For me, at least. Okay. I love Argyle, bro. Yes! Somebody that also love Argyle. Transformers 1, best Megatron movie. Transformers 1 was great, man. That wasn't the one I was talking about, but it's really sad that that's not going on anymore, man. Okay. What do I have next? We were just talking about Yorgos. I got to the bottom. We talked about Woody Allen, so I don't need to talk about that again. And there we go. We're going to be talking about Alfred Hitchcock. This one blew my mind because I was like, people rave about Alfred Hitchcock, right? They talk about how he's the best that ever does it. One of those best that ever does it. Kind of redefined the genre in a lot of ways. I believe I have his movies. Didn't I? Oh, I could have swore I uploaded his film. Yeah, here we go. I uploaded his filmography, right? So he directed a lot of films when he was alive. So Rebecca is a film that's been remade a bunch of times. That was made in the 40s because the story is so influential. Foreign Correspondent I hear about all the time. Suspicion I hear about all the time. Shadow of a Doubt I hear about all the time. Spellbound I hear sometimes. Strangers on the Train. Dial M for Murder. Rare Window. The Man Who Knew Too Much. Vertigo. North by West. Psycho. Birds. Frenzy. And Family Plot. He has a ton of films that I've heard great things about. And is it everything? I feel like I'm missing something. Am I? No. Yeah, and North by Northwest is a film that here is so influential. I saw Vertical, and I think that's a great film. And I haven't seen Psycho. I haven't seen a ton of his films, so it's hard for me to judge him on this because I haven't seen a ton of films. He's not the type of director who a lot of mainstream or like general audience members talk about. In terms of one of the best directors, it's more of a cinephile guy, and I thought Vertigo was fantastic, and I want to watch the rest of his films. But I can see people thinking maybe like there's so much hype on Alfred Hitchcock, and then you go in and then you watch his movies, and because so many people have done what he's done and remade his films or took his style at this point because he's made films so far back, I can see people like, oh, I've seen a film like this before. This is not that impressive. So I don't want to 100% agree, but I can definitely see why people think he's overrated. But that was dark movie. So if you didn't like that, go attack him, not me. Underrated Garrett Edwards. Let me make sure I know which Garrett this is. Garrett Edwards. They sent me a basketball player, filmmaker. Oh, I spelled it. Is it Garrett or Gareth? Is it? Oh, Gareth. Okay. Let's see. Garrett Edwards. He doesn't have a lot of films that he's done so far. So he did Monsters, which is a film that no one talks about. He did Godzilla, which is a phenomenal. Well, I mean, I think it's a fantastic film. I love that movie. He did Rogue One, a Star Wars story, which is my favorite Star Wars film. He did The Creator, which I thought was solid, but then he also did Jurassic World Rebirth. So I think Gareth Edwards is rated well. I don't think he's underrated. I don't think he's overrated because I think people have felt like Godzilla is divisive because of what he did with Godzilla not being in the film a ton. People love Rogue One, but also he didn't direct the full thing fully. So we don't know how much of his vision was made in that one. I think The Creator was a film that was inspired in a way in terms of what he did to it, the technical aspects of it, but I think the story wasn't that strong, and I think he could have went further in the direction. And then Jurassic World Rebirth is rough. It's rough. It's rough film. It's rough. Michael Daughtry is underrated. Yeah, guys, you guys are like, they're like, we're not talking about overrated. We're gonna get some positivity up in here. Daughtry. Dauga. Okay. Okay, here we go. What did Daughtry do? He's directed Trick or Treat, Krampus, and Godzilla King of Monsters. I don't know if I agree with you on that one, prodigious. King of Monsters was okay. Um, Trick or Treat, and Krampus. Not really scratching at that. Hitchcock is GOAT status, legend status for Hitchcock. Chris Columbus was my favorite director as a kid, but I can agree that everything in his later career definitely makes him overrated. Okay. Chris Columbus. I love how we're getting a filmmaker. We're getting some suggestions live. Where are we going? Whoa, Jesus, he's directed a lot of films. Okay. So no, he wrote that. The Adventures of Babysitting, never heard of. Heartbreak Hotel, I think I've heard of. Okay, so he directed Home Alone, one of the best films of all time, and Home Alone 2. He did Miss Doubtfire, which is great. Bicentennial Man, which is funny. He did Harry Potter, The Sorcerer's Chamber of Secret, which are two of the best Harry Potter films. He did Rent, I Love You, Beth Cooper, Percy Jackson. But then, so like I think like he did Pixels, Christmas Chronicles, and Thursday Murder Club. But right before that, he still has recent films like Percy Jackson, I Love You, Beth Cooper, Rent, Christmas with the Cranks is well, no, he wrote that one. The Harry Potter film. So I wouldn't say he's overrated because he made two like films that are kind of mediocre. He has some bangers on it under his belt. Garrett Edwards does a lot with a small budget. Movies look like they're much more grand and expensive than the budget would suggest. He's definitely got a classic film in him. He's one to watch. I think that his him striving to try to keep the budget down is what holds him back from making a classic. I think he needs to go forward and try to do more. Because I think even with the not the collector. Damn, what's the movie? I just talked about this movie. Is it behind me somewhere? Of course not. Of course, it's not in my purview. Um, the movie did last year. The sci-fi movie did last year. I don't think that went as far as it could have in terms of directing. He did Trick or Treat, King of Monsters, Krampus. Trick or Treat is my favorite horror film. Okay, so I can definitely see that. Thank you, Imran, the creator. I think he could have did more with the creator. No matter if you like or hate King of Monsters for me because he made such a masterpiece with Trick or Treat, I feel like he deserves more love. I need that sequel still. I feel like if you made one film that's a masterpiece, I don't know if I could say you are overrated or underrated. Because it's just a film. It's not a film, man. But I understand. It's a personal thing. I get that. What was this? Okay, we did Alfred Hitchcock. So this one is rough. He's talking about good old Zack Snyder, and we saw what's his name? Take talking about that earlier. We have two people saying this, and I know a ton of people would say Zack Snyder. So I gotta say, this is a big old hell no. Zack Snyder's not underrated. Why I'm gonna say this? I'm gonna say this. You guys
acting weird.
You're acting weird, right? You need to
do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man.
No, Zack Snyder is not overrated. All right. 300, influential. When you talk about his filmography, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman. If you look at a lot of what's going on TV and in action films and a lot of superhero films after those films came out, you can see the influence in a lot of people's films and how they create stuff, how he's influenced video games, how he's influenced so much with his movies. I think people get hung up on the fact that maybe he did a different take on characters that they didn't 100% agree with, saying that he's not a good director. I wouldn't say that because, for one, he didn't write Man of Steel and he didn't write Batman vs Superman. So if your issue is the particular story of those films, then that's not his fault. Those movies are fantastically directed in terms of Sucker Punch and Sucker Punch, Man of Steel, Watchmen, one of the greatest comic book movies of all time to me. Dawn of the Dead, influential zombie film that changed the game in terms of running zombies. He directed that as well. 300. He has a particular style that just works. I hate that they have Justice League up here because he obviously didn't direct that movie. But like Army of the Dead is really solid, and then the Rebel Moon movies are not good, right? But before that, you know, he has such a particular style that works. He has such a particular vision that just works really well, and I think that is just super influential in terms of like the way the Matrix influenced action films in terms of like bullet time, the way he films action and especially spectacular blockbuster ones. I think he's really influenced a lot of people in terms of how they do stuff on TV and in films. So I do not agree that he's overrated. He has a classic films under his belt. He has influence in that he has. I think what happened here, why people think he's overrated, is because the Zack Snyder cultists have done a job of making people hate Zack Snyder films because they're just so annoying, so particularly just berating about what he's done and hating on other things that are adapting and moving on. It's like they have to move on, right? I love Zack Snyder's DC movies, but we have to move on. It's been years, it's been decades since he's done one. We have to give other people a chance. Just like, you know, Richard Donner did something, then someone else did something else, and you just gotta move on. So yeah, I don't agree that he's overrated, but I understand why people are frustrated because he does have something in all his films where it's like, why did you do that, Zach? But like, I can't discount everything he's done because of that. And then he said, 300 is a classic, but the Rebel Moon, man, I know. Rebel Moon is rough. rough, but I can't, 300. He makes so many good movies. I don't know if he was mentioned yet, but Rob Marshall, he keeps getting work, even though I think he said it sometimes holds the project back. Little Mermaid live action could have been much better. Let's see who Rob Marshall. I don't even think I've heard of him before. So I can't say he's overrated because I never heard of it before. So he's done Chicago, which people love. He did Nine, which people talk about. He did Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. I don't know which Pirates of the Caribbean is which. I feel like they just kind of all melt in a pot to me. And he did Into the Woods, which I haven't seen. Mary Poppins Returns, which I heard is shaky, and then Little Mermaid, which bored me to death. So it's hard because he has some films in here that people love, like Chicago 9, Pirates of the Caribbean, Into the Woods. But he did do Mary Poppins and Little Mermaid. What films do you feel out of the category that I hear that people love that you feel is overrated other than the Little Mermaid movie? I know Kenny Sparks likes that movie more than the animated film. But just for me, I remember I did a live reaction to that, like a watch along, and you could see in my face I was bored to death until Scuttlebutt came on. And then I was jamming because I like Scuttlebutt. Brandon, what's up, man? Welcome to the live stream. Hey, wait, Kenny, you watch Superman? You're out of Superman? Don't spoil anything, but just drop some emojis describing how you felt about Superman. What's the scuttlebutt? I love it. Scuttlebutt's my jam, man. Another director that I think has great vision but gets in the way of it. I think Imran, this is a good segue. That gets in the way of himself. It's Taika Waititi. This is somebody who is influential in terms of what he's done with What We Do in the Shadows, Thor Ragnarok, and Jojo Rabbit. When you single out those films, Hunt for the Wilder People really brought up these kind of like adventure films again that people try to remake a bunch of Hunt for the Wilder Peoples. Even recently, we got The Legend of Ochi, which is similar to that film. What We Do in the Shadows brought vampires back into kind of like what Shaun of the Dead did for zombie comedies. What We Do in the Shadows did for vampire comedies. Thor Ragnarok revitalized Thor in a way that made him one of the favorite characters, and then made him such a great character in Infinity War and Endgame. But then obviously Thor Love and Thunder kind of took some of that ill will, and I think that's why people think he's overrated, because of that movie was so egregious to people. Jojo Rabbit is an Oscar-winning film that he wrote and directed as well. And then I heard Nick Scott Wins is also not that great, but I haven't seen it. I haven't heard anything about Eagle versus Shark or Boy. But when you think about the influence and What We Do in the Shadows, the influence for Hunt for the Wilder People, the influence with Thor Ragnarok, and then the greatness of Jojo Rabbit, that's all back to back to back. And people do like Love and Thunder. It made money and it doesn't have a terrible Rotten Tomatoes score. So even though a lot of people rag on it, there's a lot of people who just are quieter that loves it. When I talk to people in the wild, they're not film fans. They love that film. So I don't think he's overrated because he's done such great work. I just think that I think we have to see what he does next, right? I think this person talked about also, and this is John, a friend of the channel, somebody I went to college with. He said he's the most overrated for me because is definitely Taika Waititi. He said he can't believe WB tried to give this man Akira. If that's not overrated, I don't know what is. Seeing Superman tomorrow as well, by the way. But hopefully I'll give an update soon as I'm done. Nice. So that's really, really interesting. I don't think Taika is overrated, but I get why he feels that way. It's tough, man. It's tough because Thor: Love and Thunder left a bad taste in people's mouth about his films, because it's like, what were you doing there? Like, and then his response to everybody kind of hurt it as well. So we have one more I believe fan submit. No, fan, I don't got no fans. We got one more person. This is the main event. This is the man that's on the thumbnail, and We're gonna talk about that soon, but let me get to the comments and then we'll talk about that one. Let's see. Hey, that means he likes it. That's great to hear. I was worried. Even though me and you don't always have the same opinion on films, but I'm excited that you like it. When you don't like something, it makes me worried. When you don't like it, when you do like it, it's like, okay, I can be more optimistic. Useless Skill said, someone said Spike Jonze was underrated, but the one classic that is so relevant today is Her, so I think he might be underrated. Okay. Her is one of my favorite films of all time. Jones. But what else has he done? I always kind of mix him up with Spike Lee. I don't know why. There was two very different people. So Spike Jonze he hasn't done that many films, but he did Being John Malkovich was a film I hear about all the time. Adaptation where I hear about all the time are two of the best films of all time. Where the Wild Things Are, I don't really hear that much, but Her is one of my favorite films. And then he did the Beastie Boys story. So he doesn't have a wide range. I do hear his name a lot, and he's done films that are very, very influential. I don't know if I'm gonna say that he's overrated. It's a tough one because I love Her, and I got to check out Adaptation and Being John Malkovich because those two films are talked about so much. It's great. I might watch them and then be like, it's not all that, and maybe end up agreeing. But as of right now, I don't. Turn up the light a little bit. Yeah, the emojis have me real hyped too, man. So let's talk about this. This is coming from somebody that's in the community, and he's a big part of the community. One of the first people I've interacted with on my YouTube journey. Has a YouTube channel. Go check him out. He said Spielberg, which I thought was very, very interesting. Someone that is considered one of the greatest directors of all time. Let's see. What's my response to this?
What did he say?
Because I can't believe he even had the audacity, the gall, the utter nerve to put Spielberg even close to the most overrated directors.
You're just a freak.
You know what I mean? I love you, Joe. I'm just messing with you. But
that is blasphemous. That is blasphemous.
It's just blasphemous, you know? And the reason why I'm saying this is because even if I haven't seen all his films, even if I don't love the films that I've seen from him, he has made some of the most influential films of all time. To the point where I had to separate his film list into two. So if you look at this, right, he's done the Indiana Jones films, which are considered the greatest adventure films of all time. Some of the most influential films on the way you could describe, what's the word, a man in a movie. And so that's confusing for me. Yeah, I mean, so you can kind of see me. He's done E.T., one of the greatest, what was the word I'm looking for? One of the greatest sci-fi, family, fun, loving films that you could ever think about. Color Purple, which is a struggle film, but it's a classic. Twilight Zone, Poltergeist. Wait, he wrote Poltergeist. He didn't do it. But if you just think about like Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T., Twilight Zone, Indiana Jones, The Color Purple, Empire's Son, which is underrated, Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade, which I actually like. I know a lot of people don't. Hook, Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, which is considered one of the greatest films. Amistad, also Saving Private Ryan, which is considered one of the greatest army films that people try to replicate. AI, Minority Report, which is one of the greatest sci-fi films of all time. Catch Me If You Can, which is one of my favorite films of all time. Terminal is shaky. War of Worlds, which is shaky, but people love that film. And then you go to Munich, Indiana Jones, The Kingdom of Crystal Skull. I love that. I like that film too, but people are shaky on that. Adventures of Tintin people like. Lincoln people love. BFG, The Post, Ready Player One. It's staggering. Not only the plethora of films that he's done. You think about Jaws. I didn't even say that. I think I might have forgot about that. But he's done Jaws. He's done way too many influential and classic films. Even if you don't like the ones that you've seen, you can be like, you know what? These films are really great, and I have to admit that his influence. And I wish Joel was in here to defend himself, to say why he doesn't like Steven Spielberg, but it's like, oh, and I didn't even have on here was The Close Encounters of the Third Kind, another fantastic sci-fi film. Jaws, Duel, like he has a horror film classic, he has sci-fi classics, he has drama classics, he has historical classics, he has a black classic, which is to say, as a Jewish white man, or yeah, I believe he's Jewish, yeah, because Schindler's List. He has a venture classic. He has a great adaptation in Hook. He has smaller movies that people don't talk about. He has a classic war movie. He made a classic musical with West Side Story. People love that film. And then he made a film about himself, but in a different way, in The Fablemans, which people loved. He just has a list of films. Even if you think some things are amiss, like Firelight, 1941, Always, Terminal, Munich, Bridge of Spies, BFG. Like, if you think those are kind of a misses, they're not terrible films, but just to say he's overrated in any way is kind of crazy to me. Yeah, so those are the submissions that you guys in the community made for the most overrated directors of all time. I think Steven Spielberg is one of those ones where I haven't seen a ton of his films, but I feel the influence a lot of his movies, and tons of movies that I love, and the films that I have seen I like E.T. is so great and it holds up. It's one of those films that I absolutely think is great. So I don't agree with Joel, but hey, film is subjective. Maybe he's seen a bunch of his classics. It's like trash. He ain't a GOAT for me. When he said, "No, just no, man. Did Jaws end of story? He is the greatest director of all time. Bold opinion, but respect." Girls and Presents laughing. His movies are almost like magic, and he's dabbled in almost every genre. I think that's the main thing. He's dabbled in almost every genre. Spielberg is one of the GOATs. Made it home, by the way. Glad that you made it home safe, Del. Goonies he did, I think, too. He did Goonies too? They don't have Goonies here on the list. But I feel like he did do Goonies. Did he just write it? Maybe he didn't direct it. Let me see. So yeah, Richard Donner did Goonies. He did it wasn't Spielberg, the guy who did Superman. Goonies. Just went through the chat and I agree with Linklater. I hated Hitman. Hated? Wow. I really liked Hitman a lot. Or maybe that means he did a good job if you got the reaction out of me. Or maybe he produced. It says, doesn't say who produced it. It says Richard Donner wrote it and directed it. Maybe he produced it though. It's possible. Because he's produced a lot of movies as well. No, I didn't want the Rotten Tomatoes. And Goonies is one of those films that's on my blind spot for films that I've never seen. I haven't seen it. I'm kind of scared to watch it because I think I'm not gonna like it. So I'm like, But we're gonna go transition into the Q&A. I actually have a couple people who submitted questions. A lot of them was from Kal-El and one from my boy Chillmonger. So let me upload those now that I have space to. Hitchcock, where did I put them? Okay, I'll start with Killmongers. So, and everybody in the chat can answer these as well. Chillmonger asked, would you rather watch a movie that happens in one day or 1 year? I really like self-contained movies, whether it's a movie that's contained in one house or in one place particularly, or you have to travel in one particular area. So I think that over one day, I prefer in like a 24-hour span if something happened over something that's gonna go over 1 year. I think you feel like you miss out a lot when a film is about something that's happened over 1 year, because there's gonna be spots of like, wait, when did that person learn that? When it's in real time, kind of like Warfare. Love that movie. Thought it was fantastic. That was all kind of one day, and the way they did that was fantastic. Or even like Overnight, like You're Next. That's another movie that I like a lot. That was like overnight into the daytime, and I thought that was great. So I think I'd rather a movie that's over one day than one night. Let me know in the comments which one you guys prefer. Thanks, and also thanks Showmager for dropping the question. Here comes Kal-El Daily asking me, what music biopic do you want to see? That is a great question. And it's hard for me because music biopic. Because I don't really like music biopics that much. I was gonna say Michael Jackson's should get one, but he's already getting one. So I'm trying to think, because Stevie Wonder would be an interesting one. I think Nirvana would be very very interesting to get. That could get a biopic, but I think. So I was looking at the list. I think Stevie Wonder is great. I think Duke Ellington would be great. I would like to see more influential black music artists that influence people like Elvis and a lot of Frank Sinatra and a lot of these non-black people who took the kind of was influenced by them and became bigger, became the face of things, and see how they came up with that and how that directly influenced everybody. I think a big one would be Marvin Gaye. I think with how tumultuous a life he had, I think it would be a great dramatic piece, and I think it would be cool to see a how he navigated, being gay and all that good stuff. I think that would be great. Even though I think the ending would definitely be sad because of what his father did. Next up, Kal-El said, and let me see what you guys said. Depends on. I watch both as long and as good as you're done. Good. Okay. I watch both as long as it's good. Done. It's good and done. Both are. Wait, hold on. I'd watch both as long as it's good. Or done good, both 1 day or 1 year. Hold up. Is that the man, the myth, the legend who has seen Superman
Hey,
already?
what's up? What's up? What's up? How's life?
A film club was not complete without Kenny Sparks being here. I'm glad
Yeah,
he's here,
man.
man. I held it down for an hour and 37 minutes, but now the man, the myth, the legend. And I hope drive safely, man. We don't need any live stream accidents happening.
Dog, I'm out here. I'm black and Puerto Rican. I know what I'm doing.
Okay, okay. What? What does that have to do with anything?
I gotta turn this light off before the cops find me. But
Yeah,
yo,
yeah, yeah. We're
what's
cool. We're
up?
cool. We can see you. What's up, man? What's up, Mr. Man who saw Superman before me and I hate you in
Oh
eternity?
my, oh, no, don't hate me. You're gonna love the movie. I think. I think
I
you're really
hope
gonna
so.
enjoy the
Everyone's
film.
saying is a comic book fan's wet dream, and like,
It's. I can stop it further than that. It's a comic book.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay, well, you're gonna do out of theory reaction, right?
Um. You know what's funny about that? I don't know if I'm gonna be doing out of theater reactions at night because, as you can
Mm,
see, I'm black. So, so it's
what
a
you
little
need
bit
to
more
do
difficult to do. Yeah,
is park and shoot your reaction. You don't have to be driving while you're doing it.
I mean, yeah, no, that's definitely true. But even so, like just using this light here, it just didn't look great because I actually did try to film one, and I tried to film another one where I was just standing outside of the theater, and
Right.
it don't matter if I'm in the car or outside of it at night. I'm still a nigga. I'm still black. So
Jesus Christ. Oh my god, I got you. I got you. You're gonna
yeah,
have to get you a stabilizer and a light on it and stuff like that, so
yeah.
you can get these premium. Hmm?
I don't know how these people do it. As a matter of fact,
Well, honestly,
I
if
got
you look at people's reactions, the quality is not as good as their regular video, so you don't have to worry about it being 4K crystal clear. Because I look at
yeah,
like John Campia, he does them; they're not super clear as his regular videos.
right.
John Rhoda, the Real Rejects, they're not
Hmm.
as great. It's just impossible to get like pristine quality while you're outside, whether
Yeah,
it's audio or video. So I'll say get a light that you can attach to your phone or in your
hmm,
car and you'll be good to go, man.
yeah, yeah. I'll definitely have to figure it out. I think,
I
yeah.
can send you a cheap one. I can send you on Amazon a cheap mic that you can
Oh,
buy and a
I
cheap light.
do have a mic. Actually, I have a mic in my bag that I can use that for whatever reason I'm not using right now. Is my audio trash right now?
I think the internet is may break up a little bit. That's all.
Okay. Well, people in the chat will let us know that my internet is
Yeah,
trash,
yeah.
or
They
my
always let us know.
yeah, yeah. Which we appreciate. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, we can always
So
move up and higher. Yeah,
so
what's up?
Zach,
Yes, Kenny.
how was the video essay stream conversation about you being a hater of the best directors known to man?
So first of all, that is not what this was about. It's not me being a
Hmm.
hater. This is a submission of the people in the community
Oh,
that
word.
said these directors are trash. I didn't say it. Joel, our Dark Room movie reviews is the one that says Spielberg is overrated. Not me.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Okay, I didn't know that was the premise that you were going for.
yes. So it was a bunch of other people saying Tarantino and Edgar Wright
Okay.
and a bunch of other people were overrated. Christopher
Th-
Nolan
Those are
and
definitely
whatnot.
the names that you would expect for people to say, because those are like the most popular names
Yeah.
in the zeitgeist. And
We got some Woody Allen, we got some Terrence Malick, who's not somebody that people talk about a lot. We got some people.
uh-huh, uh-huh. And like the crazy part is, um, hold on. Yeah, the crazy part is like most of the directors that are seen as overrated are those who have this very unique, specific style that is
Yeah.
undeniable. Now, whether you like it or not is a totally different story. But there is a Tarantino style, right? There's a Spielberg style. There's a way that he makes his movies that people may or may not like. But for
Yeah.
the most part, people love his movies. Um, but yeah,
I was just talking about that because we were talking about Wes Anderson and a
hmm,
lot of the people who are on this list, yeah, you're right. You have a specific style, right? Like he's
yeah.
talking about Richard Linklater. I think Dell does not like his movies, right? And I like
What's up, boss?
Hitman a lot,
Can
but
I
it's
fill up
his
on
specific style. His man's over
87?
here.
Appreciate you.
Did not is getting gas. Linklater
Thank
has
you,
a
boss.
specific style. Tarantino has a specific style. Wes Anderson has a specific style. All these people have specific styles. Like if you don't like it, Zack Snyder has a specific style. If you're just not jiving with it, even if the film is well made, you're just not gonna like it. You're gonna think he's
Yeah,
overrated. M Night
this is
Shyamalan is
very
one of
true.
those two.
Yep.
User skill said that one of them days. Yeah, that's true. That's a good happening in 24 hours one day. Prodigious Spider Star said David Bowie, Guns N' Roses, Beatles, Led Zeppelin, and Prince. Oh, Prince would be a really good one too.
For
Uh,
biopics.
yeah. Callow asked me what. No, somebody asked me what bio. Chillmonger asked if what biopics that I want to see be made, and the people in the chat are answering.
Got you. Sorry, 1 second. I gotta go in
Um,
here.
yes. Uh, Falling
Um,
Down also is a good one. I love to see a biopic of The Cure, but I want it to be an indie movie so the creatives have more control. That's the tough thing. It's hard to do indie biopics because they usually cost a lot because you have to go a lot of places and shoot in a lot of different places for it to be authentic. But I can see that. Oh shit, we got a hot car making an appearance. Appearance. Ah, the hot car. I love that's a character now in the Film Club universe. You muted, by the way, if you're talking. And that's also something that Kenny does no matter what, if he's outside or home. He mutes himself.
First of all, don't be hating.
What Gertzberg said, Kenny. And Ron Plus said, you sound good. Della Movie says, all the Friday movies, Run Lola Run, Tangerine, all good movies. All good one-day movies. Oh, yeah, Journey biopic would be great. I'm going to say it. I'm going to take this from Kenny. I'm going to say it, and it's going to be sad. I'm not really big on Friday. I'm not. I'm not going to lie.
See,
It's fine.
it'd be your
I'm not.
own people.
I love that you guys love it. I'm more of a Juice guy.
Juiced?
Juice. Hey! Perfect
Plenty
timing.
of juice. Anyway,
Cal asks, when Cal coming back to the bodega to hang with the nephew? I'm not sure what this means. Because you ain't got no nephews up here, and I'm not at a bodega. You know what I mean?
However,
But if you're asking when you're gonna come up to the live stream and do the things, we still have a Guilty Pleasures live stream that we need to do. So let me know when you want to do that. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the next one up from Caliday says, have you come around to older films pre-90s? So there's this
you don't
notion
like
for
pre
some
'90s
reason
films?
that, yeah, people are running with a narrative that I don't like pre-90s films, which is not true. Because pre-90s films are now all my favorite movies of all time. You know what I mean? So they're like, oh, you don't like pre-90s films. But one of my favorite all films of all time is Bloodsport, and that was pre-90s.
This one not
So I love
working.
that movie. The Batman, well, not The Batman, but Batman is one of my favorite movies of all time, and that was
Sugar.
pre-90s. Do the Right Thing was pre-90s, one of my favorite films of all time. Akira, one of my favorite films of all time, pre-90s. So I have a bunch of films that are pre-90s on my list on here. I will say the fundamentals of pre-90s films, for some reason, just doesn't speak to me the way that 90s and up does. And I just think it could be a thing of where I was born in the 90s. And they just speak to things I grew up with better. When I go a little too far back, there's some stereotypes that may not, I agree with a lot. That's why I like the film is well made, the story is well written, but I don't really agree with a lot of stuff that's happening here, so I don't fully enjoy it and the style that's going on here. And or they ain't got no black people in them, and that's gonna have an effect on me. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm. Especially those movies
everyone
that don't
else.
have black people in them, that they be talking
That's
fast crazy about black people,
yeah,
like
like Reservoir Dogs.
Scorsese movies.
Scorsese movies, Tarantino movies. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm kind of like iffy on these directors, especially with their pre-90 movies. So that's kind of why it is, but it's not that. I think The Exorcist. I really enjoyed The Exorcist. That's pre-90s.
That's a good movie.
It's a really good movie. There's a couple movies that I watched from when I was doing Throwback Thursdays that were pre-90s that I really really enjoyed. It's just not my favorite movies of all time, or I'm not hyped on it like everyone else is, and that's fine. That's totally fine.
Hmm.
How do you feel about that? Like, do you see yourself liking 90s and up more than pre-90s?
Yes. So I like '90s movies pretty much more than any other decade. There's a certain feel and vibe to those movies that
Yeah.
are unlike. So that's why I always talk about your Speeds, your Face Off, your Demolition Man, your A Few Good Men. So there's so many movies from the '90s that I'm just more privy to, and I'm always like, so every once in a while, I find myself just being like, man, looking for a '90s movie that I haven't seen because I missed that era of film.
Mm, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's true. And I think if someone was born in the 80s, someone was born in the 70s, they'll say the same thing about those films. because each decade has a feel. You can feel the difference between 70s and you can feel the difference between the 80s versus the 90s versus 2000s. It just
Yeah.
changes so much in terms of the way they tell stories. And then the 2010s feel different now. And then I feel like the 2020s are starting to feel different from the 2010s. You know, I feel like it was just right there, right? Like 2019 wasn't that long ago. But
Yeah.
I do feel like there's a transition in way even like horror is being done in
What's up,
2020s
boss?
versus how it was done in 2010. So it's very interesting.
Nah, I don't.
Delon movie said love Juice too. Yeah, Juice is great, man. I just recently watched that. Tangerine is a wild movie. I need to see that. That's the guy who made Nora, right? He did Tangerine on
Thank you, boss.
iPhone.
Have a good one.
Delon movie says almost all pre-90 movies were barely that. I guess he meant barely all that. Damn. Okay.
I like pre-90s. So that's
We
the
got the
other thing.
dynamic duo in the house. How's it going today? Tennis Reaper! We were just, well, maybe like an hour ago talking about you because you submitted a overrated director. You said Tarantino. And people weren't happy with that. Tennis Reaper, just letting you know.
You brought this man in just to get jumps.
Well, what's his name is lucky he didn't come in, Joel, because they were like, "You think that Spielberg is overrated?" Oh no, this is the same thing. I put the same thing twice. Removed from the studio. Hey, Kenny Sparks. Where is this question? He asks. Okay, Kal-El's next question was, "What superheroes have the best amount of movies in their franchise?" Woo, that is interesting. Off the top of my head, just thinking off the top of my head, I gotta say that I think the Avengers have the best movies in their franchise. When you think about the 4 live action Avengers films, and then you think about the animated films that they have, which are underrated, I think they have the best superhero films. Those 4 Avenger films and the 3 animated films. I think it's 3 animated films they made. I think they have the best overall film quality from beginning to end. In the live chat, let me know what you think. And I don't know if Kenny heard what I said.
I didn't hear the
Mr.
last part.
Sparks.
I heard you saying hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
I didn't hear the last part. I didn't hear the last part you said. I did hear you say that you think the Avengers have the overall best franchise of something or other.
The best overall quality. Because the question was, what superheroes have the best amount of movies in their franchise? And I think that, to me, it's the Avengers.
Oh wait, so when we say franchise, we're talking about one title.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen an Avengers movie I don't like. They're 4 for 4 with me.
And I'm counting the 2. I'm counting the 3 animated movies. I think all those are really great and underrated.
I only know. Wait, maybe I do know 3. So there's the Ultimate Avengers, which was crazy violent. Then there's Ultimate Avengers 2, and
And
then
then there's
there's the
the
Kid Avengers.
yeah,
And the
those 3.
future. Yeah, those are all 3 good movies.
Yeah. So like for me, because somebody and I understood somebody saying Spider-Man and Batman. I think what happens with Batman is that 89 classic, but then the second one is wonky, right? Like a lot of people are divided on that one. And then when
I
you go
actually
away from
really,
that, huh?
yeah.
Huh?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then were the Adam West, he had a movie, right?
Mhm.
Oh, he lost his camera. Kenny, you good?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just doing the
Oh,
thingamajig.
okay, okay, because your camera went off. I got scared.
No, no, I'm alive.
Okay, so yeah, I think when you come to Adam West movies and you think about like Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, it kind of hurts the franchise overall. And then like Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, and Dark Knight are great. Dark Knight Rises is shaky. Batman Begins, people barely talk about and forget, even though it's a great movie. So it's hard to like put that in there as like a consistency. And then like Dark Knight is that film for them. And then you think about the Batman. And
Interesting.
then Batman has a bunch of animated films in there that are classic as well, like what's that one movie that everybody talks about? Oh my god, I'm forgetting what the animated Batman movie people talk about all the time, which was a
Oh,
one-off. But like, so
Mask of the
huh?
Phantasm.
Mask of the Phantasm, yes, and then, like Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, all great films, but then he has a bunch of like films in there that are kind of like, oh, this is okay, or oh, like Batman Ninja, like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I heard
And
people hate
Batman Ninja
Batman.
2, and
Yeah.
Batman and the Yakuza, and all this other stuff that they keep making. It's like it starts filtering down the franchise to me.
Mhm. So was the question like what franchise has best movies, or like what character has best movies? Because when I think of a franchise, even hey yo, sorry, when I think of a franchise, even if like a character has multiple iterations, I think of those as separate franchises. Like I don't think of Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield as like the same franchise. If you understand what I mean.
Gotcha. But I do think they are. I know it's played by because like I say that's like. Do you think James Bond when they change each actor is a different franchise?
It's the same franchise, but I don't like even with those. I separate them. Like it's like, oh, like I would never. Well, I guess you could count it as one franchise if you want to,
Yeah, yeah.
but
You can have a franchise of worth of films, and then but you can section them off after that. Like this part of the franchise
yeah,
feels a little different. It's awesome. Like even like Spider Man, right? Like you have Spider Man 1 and 2, two classics. Then Spider Man 3, shaky. Amazing Spider Man 1, not a classic, but a solid movie. Amazing Spider Man 2, I don't hate it, but a lot of people hate that film. And
yeah,
then, I, even though all these movies made $1 billion and they're positive review, I think Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home are all a little shaky in terms of like in the moment, people were like, "These are amazing," but I think looking back, the conversation now is that those films are it's a little bit more divided than it was when they first came out. When it comes
yeah.
to Tom Holland's trilogy.
Sure, and that's fair.
And
I
has
think.
Spider Man had any good animated
But
movies?
not that I can think of.
Yeah.
I can't think of one. Oh, yeah,
Oh shit! Yeah, Cross the Spider Verse into Spider Verse. What am I talking about?
yeah. I was thinking like Peter.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking
Yeah,
about Peter.
yeah.
He has great shows, but he don't have any animated movies.
They have two of the best, my favorite movies of all time. I was like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. So yeah, Spider Man, Batman are definitely up there. I just think Avengers quality is just so high.
Mm. Yeah, I would say so. Like they're 4 for 4 in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's not many other franchises who, well, yeah, yeah, they're 4 for 4, and we're talking about superhero franchises, right?
Yeah, he's talking about specifically superhero.
I think Superman has a strong case. I like Superman 1 and 2. I like Man of Steel. I like Superman Returns. I like Superman, which I just watched tonight. I really wish they would have kept the denotation thingy.
Like Legacy. Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, after
Because
seeing the
the fact
movie,
that there's two Superman movies is like,
yeah, I mean, but after seeing the movie, it didn't really, that tagline didn't
it
really mean
didn't make
anything.
sense.
Yeah,
But it could
so
have been like Superman American Alien, which I feel like, him talking about as being an immigrant story and that would tie into it. It could have been something else.
but I feel like if you do that, which is really interesting because Marvel doesn't do this at all, or they kind of do. If you do that, you kind of build in an expectation of what the movie should be. Because I know American
Mm-hmm.
Alien is a very specific story, and I don't think that that's
Mm-hmm.
the story that he was telling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Dell, when are we supposed to be doing this Superman thing? I keep meaning to check
Yeah,
it.
word. Dell, when are we doing the Superman thing? Because I still got movies to watch. Speaking of
Yeah.
Dell, he said Batman 66 is a different vibe. I love it. Book Skirts and Purse says Lord of the Rings holds up as a franchise. Ooh, I don't know.
Zach, don't
I
get yourself in
think
trouble.
I think they have 3 films that are classics, but the Hobbit films are shaky, and they just came out with an animated film that people thought was either okay or trash. So
The Hobbit movies, I hear, are not favorable amongst the fans.
yeah, the Hobbit movies I hear is not favorable amongst fans, and people are worried about the new one that's about to come out. So
That's right, there is a new one coming out.
the Lego Batman is one of my best Batman movies. I haven't seen the Lego Batman, but I hear that's fantastic.
Lego Batman is great.
Yeah.
I mean that. It's awesome. So yeah, check another one for Batman. Because Lego Batman is hilarious and it's really fun. So yeah, I'm Lego Batman for the win. All right, what are we doing here?
Imran says, agree, Lord of the Rings is probably the best trilogy. I don't agree, but
I don't know about
I
that.
get it. Someone says Lord of the Rings is a great franchise, but you can't really say, oh yeah, they're not superhero movies. But that's fine. We're expanding the conversation.
Yeah, that's also true.
I love Lego Batman. My daughter and I will randomly sing Darkness No Parents. Lego Batman had us hooked since the Lego movie. Nice. No hobbits, dwarves, wizards, etc. are not superheroes.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Have a great night.
Is Tuesday the 15th. Oh, it's next week. Thank God. Oh, wait, Tuesday? What time? Okay, gotcha. I was just thinking of the franchise in general. Gotcha. Yeah, when you think of the film, it's like they have 7 films. 3 are like considered the greatest films of all time, and then 3 are considered atrocious. It's very similar to Star Wars in a way, which is really funny. And then they have an animated film that people just don't care about. So that's where it's like it's a little bit shaky. But it holds up really well because you have 3 of the films that people consider the greatest of all time. It's hard to beat, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Almost died. But
you almost what? Sir, if you don't...
I almost crashed into a truck.
And then the last question Cal Daly had to put in, and this is obviously for jokesies, is why you be hating? And I don't think Kenny, you answer that for me. Am I a hater?
No, you are a. What they receive says, do I, Zach, like this? And if the answer is no, then the answer is no. And if the answer is yes, then the answer is yes. And if the answer is somewhere in the middle, then it's somewhere in the middle. Like, Zach is not a person where you can be like, hey, everybody likes this. Okay? Get with it. Zach is like, no, nigga, I don't prefer it. It's not my cup of tea. Like, Zach is not going to be one to, hey, my man, watch your life. Zach is not going to be the type of person to, kowtow, bow down. That is to
peer pressure and all
peer
that.
pressure. Yeah. Because there's some people out there who like,
my thing.
You better like it because I had a personal connection to it when I was 4 years old. So you need to like it. Like, you need to relax. You're not 4 years old anymore.
A lot of people when I say I don't like an old movie, they always bring up like the memory, and I'm like, well, I don't have that memory.
You should just start saying, I wasn't there.
Like,
what do you want me to do about that?
Was it Big Little China? I wasn't there when you watched that movie as a little kid and was blown away. I watched it now and I was like, oh, I thought it was okay.
Let me tell you something. Big Trouble in Little China is amazing.
And that's an opinion you can have, and I'm happy for you.
All the zaniness.
I'll never watch that movie again.
The blow up dude, the Raiden, the guy who like turned fat and blew up.
So there's things I like about that movie, but it was all from beginning to end. Yeah.
I think I like it because it's a weird. I'm not telling you to like it, but I think I like it because it is a genuinely weird movie. And the thing I really like about it is that it's not like, how do I explain this?
when you press play on that movie, it grabs you by the shoulders and says, "Hey, I'm telling you a story."
You gonna sit here and listen to it and watch this?
And you gonna sit here and listen to it and watch it. We don't have no prior knowledge of these people. We don't know who they are, where they came from. He don't. The
Yeah.
main character don't know who these people are. He just happened to stumble to a weird town where ninjas was fighting and there was lightning and sacrifices. Like, and then he just went about his way. And what I love about it is that I think there was a sequel, wasn't it? Wasn't there like a TV show in development or something like that? But
I have no idea.
so what I'm trying to say is, I like that they just dropped you into this world and said, deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like that too. I didn't mind that. Like I said, this aspect of that movie I liked, but the overall product was just like,
Yeah.
wasn't my cup of tea.
If you didn't like that movie, you would hate Golden Child.
What's it called?
The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it.
Yeah. It's kind of like Big Trouble in Little China. It's very weird with unexplained, strange happenings. But I also found it to be very fun at times.
Gotcha. I have a question from Imran. He's asking us, have we seen any Stanley Kubrick or Hitchcock movies? So when it comes to Kubrick, I've seen A Clockwork Orange. And I think that's it. I think I've only seen one of his movies.
Can you, so other than The Clockwork Orange, can you name some other Kubrick movies? Because I'm pretty confident that I've never seen a Kubrick movie.
So he did Paths of Glory. He did Spartacus. He did Lolita. He did Doctor Strangelove. He did 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is the film of his that I hear about all the time. He did Barry Lyndon. He did The Shining. Obviously, that's like his most famous movie.
Oh, so I've seen The Shining.
He did Full Metal Jacket.
I've seen Full Metal Jacket as a child, which I had no business watching.
Yeah, no business. I heard that movie's mad violent. And he also did Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah,
so that's all his films. He stopped at 1990. I think he passed away after. He passed away in 1990. So after Eyes Wide Shut, he passed away.
Oh wow. Yeah, he's good and dead.
But he has a lot of movies in there that, 2001: Space Odyssey. He's talked about one of the most influential sci-fi films ever. I hear mixed things on Lolita, but yeah, and The Shining obviously is super.
Yeah. So the only movie of his I've seen is, in fact, The Shining.
Yeah.
As far as, but I'm not counting Doctor Strangelove, even though it was on at my friend's house. Remember, I told you my friends who introduced me to movies and film and taught me about stuff about movies. Like, it was on at their house all the time. But I never I don't consider having watched the movie if I didn't press play and saw the opening credits and then the end credits.
Yeah.
Right. If it was just on TV, then I didn't see it. Right. So
because you didn't really, you weren't engaged in it. You didn't catch everything. Yeah.
I didn't make the choice to be like, I'm watching this right now.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then when it comes to Alfred Hitchcock, I've only seen Vertigo. I really like Vertigo a lot.
So Alfred Hitchcock, I have seen Psycho, and I've seen Birds. And that's it.
And The Birds?
Yo, Birds is crazy.
The Birds is crazy?
Weird. Yeah, it's weird. It's a very weird movie where I'm sure that I saw when I was much younger. I'm talking about in my teenage years. So the birds fly into town. They start attacking niggas. And then they leave. And that's the movie.
Oh, it's the movie where the birds start attacking people?
Yeah. Oh, them birds was vicious. They didn't care about you at all.
I didn't know he's the one that did that. I just saw a video where they put Big Bird in there, and he was rapping while the birds were attacking. That shit was funny. I sent it to you on Instagram. You can just...
My bad. It's probably one of the million of reels that we've sent between each other that we have not watched.
The Golden Child is fun, but heavily flawed.
It is.
That's
It's
what
very flawed.
Dell said.
Hmm.
Dell Movie said Full Metal Jacket is my all-time favorite war movie. Wow.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Book Girls and Purrs says, all right, dynamic duo. I like that. Cinematic dynamic
Hey,
duo.
I love it.
I gotta head out for the night. Thanks for the movie chat. Have a nice night, everyone. You have a great night. I
Have a great
appreciate you
night.
being in the chat. She was the first person here that said something, so I appreciate you jumping in.
Awesome.
You guys should watch a few of their most famous ones and talk about it on live. Would love to hear your thoughts on the greatest of all time.
You know what, Zach? What if, and here we go, getting ourselves in trouble. What if we were like, hey, guys, here's a poll, because polls only allow us to do 4 now. Even the text polls only allow you to do 4 now, I've found out. When we put out a poll and say, hey, here's 4 movies. Vote on it. Which one do you guys want us to watch and come on this stream and talk about? We'll probably do like 1 a month just to be,
Yeah, it is a
You
film
mentioned-
club and a book club. There's like a
That's
book
true.
you read together. So
This is what we're watching this month. The last month of the stream, we talk about the film that we have for film club. Oh, we can actually make film club like a club for film,
Yeah.
like a book club. Yeah.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds like fun.
We'll plan that. We'll plan that on Sunday. We'll map that out.
And the rule should, I don't know if the rule should be, it has to be a movie that neither one of us has seen or a movie we haven't seen in a while.
Watch something pre-90s, pre-80s even. You know what we could do even to expand this, right? These movies that we're going to do and talk about, you could do your marathon series back
movies.
again on it.
Yeah.
And I can do my Throwback Thursdays.
That's
which I need
true.
to read.
That's true. Because I
And we
think
both can have our reviews and then talk about it on live.
You know, it's funny. We both watched House together.
Yeah, we should have.
If we would have talked about that, that'd have been crazy. But
That would a wild
only-
stream because that movie is crazy.
but guys, the only way we can actually have fun with it is if you guys watch the movie too. Even if
Yeah.
it's not a movie that you voted for or what you voted for didn't win. If you guys don't watch the movie and we come on here and talk about it, and then me and Zach are the only people who saw the movie and we're just talking about it, y'all gonna be bored. So
Yeah.
it's on y'all to choose this movie and watch it so that we can have a good discussion about it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So we'll post updates in the community tab.
Mhm.
We'll do some polls and figure out where we're gonna start. He said watch up the pre-90s and 80s. We can even go a little further back and then make our way up.
Yeah.
I spoke to Kenny about this off camera, where I wanted to kind of go through like the first whatever was considered the first great year of movies, and then like watch and review if somebody made like a list of the best 10, just watch and review those best 10 from those decades, and we kind of incorporate that as well and have those conversations.
Yeah, for sure.
We can even talk about the tone of the decade and stuff like that. We can really break it down and really make it a film club.
I like that.
But just like one stream a month where we do that, and then the other ones will have our ranking lists, which we haven't done in a while. We haven't done the month ranking list in a while.
No, we haven't.
And if there's like a big topic we want to talk about.
Yeah. I was going to suggest that we do a ranking of Superman movies, but we're going to be doing that with Dell on Movies next Tuesday, y'all. So make sure to subscribe to Dell on Movies and join us over on his channel where we are going to talk about Sir Turn.
And both hands on the wheels, please.
He wouldn't turn. He was like he was stuck in the isotope or something. Anyway, sorry.
Oh man.
Oh boy. Not until I did these vlog things did I realize I sing when I get mad when I'm driving.
You singing when you get mad? He's like, you know what? I'm gonna sing it out, or I'm gonna scream at you.
Yep. Okay. Here we go. Hey man, press the gas, my nigga. Okay, so
He said, "Thanks for the plug, but don't die." Yeah, word. We're just like, please pay it. But you one thing I say is good is he's not looking at the camera, which is great. He is focused on the road. He's just talking.
nah, I haven't looked at the camera one time.
Thank God.
Yeah. Oh, when I
What
drive,
kind of mic do you have? Where's the mic at?
it's on the phone.
Okay,
Yeah, it's the iPhone 16 mic.
gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hot in this car. I'm saying it fixed my heat yet.
I can't believe you thought I was gonna come on here and come and trash Spielberg myself. You crazy?
I thought that honestly, I don't think we ever really talked about what you're like. I think I did. I don't really think I realized that it was other people suggesting this to you.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, but Spielberg has a lot of phenomenal films. To me, he has a lot of phenomenal films that I've really cherished over the years.
Yeah.
But you know, I am at the age where I'm like, if somebody doesn't like what I like, okay, like it's not gonna kill.
There's
It's
nothing
not
wrong with
gonna kill
that.
me. Yeah.
Like, because for example, like he did Indiana Jones. I watched it. I never watched it as a kid, so I didn't have that attachment. I watched it as an adult, and I was just like, oh, this is okay. You know what I mean? Like, I love the third one,
Mhm.
and I love the one that people don't like, which is Kingdom of Crystal Skulls.
Atomic Skull. Oh yeah, Crystal Skull. Yeah, I saw that
But the
movie and
first,
yeah, I did
sorry,
not enjoy it. However, I will say this: the Indiana Jones franchise is one of those franchises that are on the TV. I have seen scenes. I've seen the classic whip scene. I have not seen those movies.
oh, you haven't?
I have not. I realized this like when I went through the whole Alien thing. I started realizing all the movies that I thought I had seen but had never seen. So leading up to Alien Romulus, I went to go like they put the first Alien back in the theater, and I went to go see it. And I was sitting with a friend. I'm like, actually, he turned to me and was like, "Have you seen this before?" It's like, I don't, I don't remember any of this. I don't think I've seen this movie before because we just had seen scenes from Alien, right?
Yeah, it's because
You
it's
see
in the
Sigourney
zeitgeist.
Weaver, you see all this. Yeah, you see all this stuff like on UPN or on like cable. You like catch a scene or two or something like that. I had sworn I had seen the Alien movies. I had not, and I had a good time rewatching all or watching all of them for the first time leading up to Alien Romulus, which was great.
We watched Resurrections together, right?
We did. That was
That
a
was a
film.
wild ride.
That was a
I
movie.
liked it. I was just like, this is very different from the first two, but I like it.
Yeah.
It's a different tone. It's wild.
Now the third one, to me,
I haven't seen
in
that
my
one.
humble opinion, is as bad as everyone says it is. It's
Oof.
really bad. It's bad. I do like the fourth one though.
Who did Resurrection? Jean Pierre Junel. Okay, this is somebody that's I never
Did
heard of.
one
What did he do?
did one movie and disappeared.
He did Amelie. Oh, I know people like that movie.
Okay.
A very long engagement I've heard of. The City of Lost Children I've heard of, but that's it. So he doesn't have that many like movies that I know of.
Mm. Well, I know. Well, growing up, my dad had Alien Resurrection on VHS, and that's what we would watch. Or not we,
Mm,
but that's what I would watch over and over and over again. So I had seen them. I thought Alien Resurrection was the only Alien movie for a long time because I was a kid.
that's funny.
Why are you coming this way on a one way? What we doing?
Oh
What are
yeah,
you?
and the cast for Resurrection is it's Weaver, Winona Ryder, Rob Perlman.
What could you possibly be doing? It's a
Like a
one way,
name
my
drop.
nigga. So I'm gonna get your channel canceled. So stop saying that word. Like we're not in mixed company.
Oof. Man, I'm going on Friday to watch Superman, and I'm excited. I was gonna go take the day off so I could go earlier in the day because I'm really trying to avoid spoilers. But them tickets in New York sold out fast, man. Especially in theaters that are close enough to me. They're like talking about go to New Hyde Park. I'm like, where? Nah, I'm good.
Interestingly enough, having seen the movie, which I will not spoil and not even come close to spoil, nothing I say has anything to do with any detail of the movie, like whatsoever. I don't think there's a lot to spoil in this movie.
You said what?
Now, of course, I don't think there's a lot to spoil in this movie. No, like,
You,
of course, spoilers are in the eye of the beholder. They're not, in my opinion. Spoilers are spoilers. Relax. You know what I mean? Like, stop telling me stuff about the movie I didn't want to know. But yeah, without going
it's
into
not
any,
spoiler heavy.
yeah, it's not like I don't even know like what to even like. You're not going to find out that Gamora was thrown off of a cliff, and you're like, oh god,
Gotcha.
you know what I mean? None of that's going to happen, right? Which is not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. It's just like, yeah, there's nothing like, oh, Rachel dies in like the Dark Knight. Well, there's nothing like, oh my god, now there's some really cool stuff in this
Yeah.
movie.
This
But
is this is not like groundbreaking or nothing. It's just from what I'm hearing for the most part, it's really fun.
I cannot wait to have this conversation with you about this movie because I'm going to record my review tonight because if I don't, you know how I am. This thing won't come out until next month if I don't do it tonight. Um, the best, I don't, it's not an epic, and it's also not trying to be. I think the really interesting thing that James Gunn did was I don't even know how to say these words. None of these are details about the movie. The general feelings. I don't even know how to say this without like communicating it as well as I'm trying to communicate it. He set out to make a movie, right? He didn't set out to set up a universe. He didn't set out to like, oh shit, pothole. He didn't set out to like blow people away. You know how you can watch a movie and you can kind of tell that they were like, isn't this cool? Like they were kind of like trying to. I'm going to say it, and it's going to be said, Zach. I'm sorry. Zack Snyder be making movies where you can kind of tell that he's like, hey guys, watch this. Isn't that cool, epic, and different? Like, okay. I mean, but not to say that his movies are bad, but
But he definitely
but
does. That's where the slow mo comes in.
yeah, and it's yeah. So
All that damn slow
it's
mo, especially in Rebel Moon, he was just being like,
oh
"Watch
my
this,
god,
guys."
egregious.
Egregious.
And it's unlike any Superman movie I've ever seen. Uh, in that
Live
it's
action
not
though, right?
live action.
Because like there's animated ones that probably are similar.
Yeah. In that, like, it's not. You've seen my friend Superman, right?
Yeah, great show.
What is that? What it's called?
What happened?
My friend. Is that what it's called? My friend Superman.
My Adventures with Superman.
My Adventures with Superman. If you were to tell me that James Gunn watched My Adventures with Superman and then made a movie out of it, I would believe you. That's the tone of this movie.
Gotcha. Okay. So I know what I'm getting into now.
It's
Prince and Kenny
very
Doobie
fun.
Doo.
It's very fun. But it's not trying to be groundbreaking. Like, remember when Batman v Superman came out? Or not when it came out, but remember like Batman v Superman and how it was trying to be like a film.
It's gonna be like a film. Yeah.
Yeah, is trying to be a comic book on your screen. Like, it's not
So is
concerned.
this, based on what I'm hearing, is this like pre MCU Dark Knight comic book movies, but done really, really well? You know what I mean? Like very comic booky, not focused on telling like a film type grounded story, but those
Yeah,
some like Green Lantern and stuff like that, which wasn't done well, but
yeah.
this one is actually done well.
At the risk of people overreacting to me saying, yeah, it's kind of like like a Green Lantern kind of like, we're just doing a movie, man. We're just making a movie. It's fun. That's
Oh, you just
that's
went out just now.
oh my bad. Yeah, at the risk of like it sounding like me comparing it to Green Lantern, which is a horrible movie. This is not a horrible movie. It's very much in the spirit of we're making a fun movie with Superman in it.
Yeah.
He's
Afternoon 2 said Kenny's in witness protection.
like,
You out here. Okay, now that you parked, right? Can you pick up the mic?
what do you mean?
Where's the mic at? Oh, it's on your phone.
It's
So you
on
don't
the
have the
phone.
mic plugged in. I got you now. Oh, okay.
Wow,
You said
what's
you had
going
a
on?
mic. No, because you're cutting out sometimes. That's what I was asking.
Oh, well, I got a
This man did a
microphone in
live
here.
stream driving back home. We're revolutionary, guys. I bet you none of your favorite YouTubers has done that.
I don't
Afternoon
even
Tune,
know.
what's up? He said, "How is it going, guys? It's going good. We're having a good time." 75% of you guys voted said Hitchcock is better than Kubrick. Interesting.
I don't even know if this thing will work because I haven't charged it.
Afternoon Tune said, "This is dedication." Facts.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm actually gonna have to take this thing off and
Oh, Jeremy
charge it.
Johns gave this a Rotten Tomato. Oh, I didn't expect that.
Give it a what?
He gave it a Rotten Tomato on Rotten Tomatoes.
He'll be alright. I will tell you this. This movie's gonna be very polarizing. People are going to be very like. I mean, of course, because it's Superman, people don't know how to act. But I do think that it's so different than Man of Steel that I'm not sure how people are going to react. Because if you watched Man of Steel, right,
Mm-hmm.
and then you went to go watch this movie, you would feel like you got whiplash from the different tones.
Yeah, you can just see it in the trailers. The tones are
Yeah.
completely different.
Even from like we just watched Superman 1 and 2 Sunday night, right? Whiplash. Like it's not anything like any of
That's true, because remember when we were talking about how I said Man of Steel is very similar to those two movies?
yeah.
So that is interesting. Because like when I was watching Superman 1 and 2, I was like, this is very, very similar. I think the only thing that Zach was missing from this movie was kind of those interpersonal moments weren't the focus. Like the
Mhm.
focus in Richard Donner's movies is his interpersonal moments between him and Lois, him and Lex, him and somebody else, not really like the action and the sci-fi stuff. But in Man of Steel, the focus is on the mythology, the fighting, and the sci-fi stuff and the drama, and like his relationship with Lois, his family, and stuff like that is not the full sole focus. So, but like what you're saying here is that he's staring away completely from that. I'm hearing all I keep hearing is that the Superman animated series, Justice League Unlimited, and now My Adventure Superman. Everything sounds like he just pulled from the cartoon, which is what people have been asking the Marvel universe and the DC universe to do. Just pull from your animation because you make these great animated films and shows, and just make that live action.
It's interesting that you say that. Like I said, guys, I'm not going to be spoiling anything because it is very much. I'm not calling it a cartoon, but if you watch like Superman or Justice League Unlimited or whatever, any of these cartoon shows that we watched growing up, the superheroes in the suit for 95% of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if Clark Kent had 5 minutes of screen time in this movie.
5 minutes.
I'm not sure he had 5 minutes of screen time. Well, probably like 10 minutes. 10 minutes of screen time. He was Superman this entire movie,
Mm-hmm.
which is really fun because it's like when you're a kid and you're playing like superheroes or whatever, you're pretending to be a superhero. You don't really spend a lot of time pretending to be Bruce Wayne or Clark Kent or Barry Allen. You want to run fast. You want to jump high. You want to swing from something.
Yeah.
I never spent a lot of time pretending to be Peter Parker, right? I was trying to swing from the city streets. So yeah, very much a Superman movie. And I think the best thing I can say about it, once again, guys, I'm not spoiling anything, is a lot of people were concerned about James Gunn and his propensity to do ensemble films, and a lot of people were concerned about this movie being just an ensemble film because they cast, Bird Lady and Black Smart Guy,
Bird Lady. I love how you
Bold
just
Cut,
watched the movie. You don't remember their names.
Bold Cut Lantern. Yeah, they're in the movie, but it's Superman's movie. Like they are not.
Gotcha. Just
They're
supporting
not.
characters.
Yeah, they are the definition of supporting characters. They're in there when they're needed, and they're not. This is not a Guardians of the Galaxy situation where everybody's there because it's there. It's everybody's movie, which I can argue against, but that's a whole nother story. They're there when they're needed for the story, and no more than that. So yeah, it's a Superman movie for sure.
I love how this live stream turned into an out of theater reaction and
Hmm.
discussion about Superman.
This is actually helping me. Selfishly, this is helping me because now I can go inside and do my review and maybe freestyle it and be like, hey, this is what it is. I think that the biggest issue people might have with this movie is actually Lex Luthor.
It's wait, the biggest issue people gonna have with this movie is what?
With Lex Luthor is Lex. I think that might be people's
I'm not catching what you're saying. What the problem is?
Alexander Luthor.
Oh,
Yeah,
Luther. People are gonna have a problem with him.
I think so.
Hmm.
But I feel like some people will and some people won't. But I feel like people are going to needle that as a sticking point of why they don't like him. Because he's also in this movie a lot. Because, he's the main bad guy. So, yeah. But it's fun. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a very good movie, in my opinion. I'm curious.
Gotcha.
I'll be really curious. I feel two ways. I'm curious about how other people will feel about it, but I also can't wait for this week to be over so not that we'll stop talking about it, so that I want to get through the grifter phase. I just want to get through that. You know what I mean? I want to get through because with Fantastic Four and coming up next, and Superman is coming out in a couple of days. I'm just ready to just like get through the phase of these superhero movies where we have to hear from grifters 24/7, bitching and moaning. There's one thing to not like a movie because of this, other. There's another thing like he wasn't bald enough. Or, no, Nicole is bald in this movie, but like there's stuff like that that people like complain about that I'm like, get out of my face, man.
Gotcha.
So yeah, man.
Yeah. As you know, I've had my caution with this movie from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I have saltiness towards it a little bit because they canceled Superman and Lois for it, and I do like my Zack Snyder movies, but I also understand we have to move on, and I just want Superman to be cool, not cool, liked, because Superman's not a cool character. But he's a likable person, so that's all I want. I want Superman to be likable. I want the movie to be good. I want to have fun in the theater. Um, and see if the things that I imagine Superman to be from the comics is adapted well in the story. And based on what you're saying, based on what um, people have been talking about, I don't know if I'm going to get exactly that
Hmm.
because it doesn't seem like it's being taken with the heft that I also want Superman to get taken with. But if it's fun, then I'm down.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun.
It's been a
It's a fun,
strong six and a
fun
half to seven. I'll be
ride. Mhm.
satisfied.
Yeah, because you know what it is. I was talking to Frank about it after we got out, and I think what he said was we as fans, and you know, anyway, we as fans like we put so much weight onto this movie, right? And when Frank came out of it, he was like, I feel like we just put a lot of like expectations and weight on this movie for it to just turn out to be a movie, if that makes sense. It's like, oh, it's gotta be like. I feel like the feeling going into it is Superman has to go planet hop and do this epic adventure. Where when I say epic adventure, I mean like almost like this, just like almost this like end game expectation put on this movie, or this Avengers type of
Mm.
expectation put on this movie, and it's none of those. It's much closer to an individual, like, which it should be. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
But yeah, let me let you get to go on the house.
Okay.
This has been a 2 hour and 36 minute stream. I just want
Yeet.
to quickly thank, as always, everybody that always comes on to the stream and talks to us. We saw Books, Birds, and Gurs.
Hey,
TJ Bellis was busy watching Superman. We saw CC Useless. We saw Prince come in the chat. Zach come in the chat. Dell come in the chat. Um, and we saw appearances from like Chillmonger because he submitted a question. So I appreciate everybody that's on this list, everyone that I haven't added on the list yet, and hopefully even more people will continue to add to the list. We appreciate everybody that comes week to week and listen to us yap about the stuff we all love. So next week we won't have a film club because we were going to be on Dell on Movies live stream, racking all the superhero movies. So definitely go subscribe to him, check him out, and we will see you next time. Peace.